sass in every way. Talking fast, not a pause in sight. Leanie's got my head in a spin tonight. Oh, shut up, Leanie, can't you see? You talk so much, it's drowning me. With your white hair and sassy flair, just give me a breath, let me share. Podcast queen with a wicked smile, running jokes mile after mile. Try to speak, but in she slides. Leanie makes it a wild ride. Smile, running jokes mile after mile. I try to speak, but in she slides. Leanie makes it a wild ride. Oh, shut up, Leanie, can't you see? You talk so much, it's drowning me. With your white hair and sassy flair, just give me a breath, let me share. Oh, Leanie, don't get me wrong, can't imagine life without your song. But girl, you've gotta let me in. This ain't just your show to win. So here I stand with my mic in hand, trying to keep this show as planned. Leanie laughs, guess it's gonna stay a little secret every day. Trying to keep this show as planned. Leanie laughs, guess it's gonna stay a little secret every day. Oh, shut up, Leanie, can't you see? You talk so much, it's drowning me. With your white hair and sassy flair, just give me a breath, let me share. Let me share. Oh, Leanie, don't get me wrong, can't imagine life without your song. But girl, you've gotta let me. This ain't just your show to win. Oh, shut up, Leanie, can't you see? You talk so much, it's drowning me. With your white hair and sassy flair, just give me a breath, let me share. Oh, Leanie, don't get me wrong, can't imagine your life without your song. But girl, you've gotta let me. This ain't just your show to win. So here I stand with my mic in hand, trying to keep this show as planned. Leanie laughs, guess it's gonna stay a little secret every day. So here I stand with my mic in hand, trying to keep this show as planned. Leanie laughs, guess it's gonna stay a little secret every day.
Oh, 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 oh. It started with a chat, just a few of us there, talking about life and the stuff we all share. From kids to chaos and the mess we make, we bonded over laughs and every mistake. From bad hair days to a joke or two, no topic was off limits, nothing taboo. We laughed till we cried, had each other's backs. A sisterhood formed in the middle of tracks. Sisterhood of the chat, we're strong and we're loud. From West Virginia, Liverpool, we're proud. From Texas to Australia, we've got the best. Lifting each other up, we pass every test. From the East Coast to the West, we cheer. From Indiana to New York, we're always here. From late night texts to early morning calls, we've been through it all, big and small. From talking fashion to the crazy stuff, we've got each other's backs when life gets tough. We send memes and pics of the day gone wrong and the occasional "can you believe this song?" We share everything, no secrets to keep, like a wild dream that we never want to sleep. Sisterhood of the chat, we're strong and we're loud. From West Virginia, Liverpool, we're proud. From Texas to Australia, we've got the best. Lifting each other up, we pass every test. From the East Coast to the West, we cheer. From Indiana to New York, we're always here. From Tennessee, where the music plays, to sweet tea nights and lazy days. From England's hills to the country roads, our sisterhood's a bond that forever grows. Sisterhood of the chat, we're strong and we're loud. From West Virginia, Liverpool, we're proud. From Texas to Australia, we've got the best. Lifting each other up, we pass every test. From the East Coast to the West, we cheer. From Indiana to New York, we're always here. Through the highs and the lows, we've been there. When the world feels feels heavy, we just don't care. We're loud, we're bold, we're a little bit wild. but always there for each other, with hearts so mild. Sisterhood of the chat, we're strong and we're loud. From West Virginia, Liverpool, we're proud. From Texas to Australia, we've got the best. Lifting each other up, we pass every test. From the East Coast to the West, we cheer. From Indiana to New York, we're always here. So here's to the sisters who make life so sweet. We've got each other, no defeat. From the chat to the heart, it's all the same. We're a sisterhood forever in the friendship game. According to Leanie, the eclipse is to blame. But truly the Lord brought us together, and we'll never be the same.
Hello,
So here's to the
welcome.
sisters who make
Welcome,
life-
everybody. Thank you guys so much for being here. Maggie, Lizzo, hello,
Hello.
ladies. Good to see
Good
you guys.
evening.
That is a beautiful background.
I love it. It's lovely, isn't it?
I
The
do.
Yeah.
colours, like autumn colours, lovely.
And you could definitely see what they mean by their washes, where the water runs
Yeah,
down through the
yeah.
area. It's so
Mhm.
pretty. It's. I mean,
It
I
really is.
couldn't live in that heat, but it's beautiful part of the country.
Oh, I could if I had a pool and if I had aircon. I'd be loving it.
I'd be upset at Christmas time and during the fall when I
Yeah.
don't see any
Is it hot
leaves.
at Christmas, Leanie?
There
Yeah.
to us, to me who gets snow every Christmas, yes, it would be
Wow.
hot. But to those that live there, their body is acclimated to desert heat. So to them, they freeze. Yeah. So it
It
just
gets
depends
very
on
cold in the night though, doesn't it?
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it may not to us. But I think the wind is different there. Hi,
Yeah.
Lizzo.
Hello.
How you doing, girlfriend?
Okay.
Can we take roll call here, guys? I'm gonna
You
let
sure
you.
can.
I need to grab some coffee real quick,
Go on,
and
love.
let me just say hi, everybody. Thank you guys for being here, and Maggie and Liz will take roll call for me, and then we'll get started. We'll jump right into it. BRB.
Okay, so Chris Brownell, he was like saying hi at 04:21 a.m. So Chris, I doubt you're still here, but if you are, hello and welcome into chat. Genevieve, I love. I'm glad that you came in and said a little hello. I don't think you're going to be because that was at 04:14 this morning. But yeah, it was the saddest thing watching those interviews this morning. Heartbreaking. I haven't seen today's one. I only seen yesterday. But yeah, it is. You can see the torment, can't you, on the face. Hiya, Lou. Where are you, my Lou? Cooey.
Raise your hand.
Yeah, put your hands up. Give us a wave. Hiya, Dawn. Nice to see you coming in, girl. Thank you. Please hit the thumbs up. Mary Jane Doe's in the house. Hello, Mary Jane. Good to see you. Chris came back at 08:06 this morning. Oh, Chris, you're eager. Oh my God, I hope you come in then tonight and you don't miss the live after that. Hello, Lizzo.
Hello.
Hello, darling. Sin City Giggles. That's a funny name. Sin City Giggles. Greetings, ladies and gents. Greetings, Sin City Giggles, to yourself. Thanks for coming in. Please hit the like. Tito. Hello, love. Good to see you again. And there's Lou. Woohoo! What a treat. No work today. Can chillax and listen to my favourite peeps. You sure can, girl. We'll never get well. I'll never be professional. I get it all wrong. But you know what? There's nothing stopping me. Nothing stopping me trying. Geneva was back in the house at 8 this morning. Oh my God. BGD, hiya. Good to see you, love. Thanks for coming back. And Sin City said, it's a pleasure. Well, it's a pleasure to have you here and thanks for all coming in. It means so much when you take time to come into the lives and you interact with us. It really does. But anyway, welcome in and please respect us others' thoughts and theories. Because not everyone's is going to be the same. You might not agree with them, but don't make people feel bad. You just, if you don't agree, you don't agree. If it's triggering to you in any way, then take yourself away. Don't bash anyone. The chat is meant to be a friendly place and a safe place. You're allowed to share your thoughts and your theories in here about the case that we're talking about, obviously. But yeah, so sit back, kick off your shoes and enjoy the live. So what have you been up to today then, Liz?
Not a lot. When I said to you earlier, I'd watched it. It was I'd seen it, and it was 5. There were only 5 minutes.
Yes. I said how long you said.
It wasn't only 5 minutes. I'd been in Dolly's this morning, and he only showed 5 minutes. So I assumed that's all there was. That it was
That's
another
all there was.
teaser, and the main one was
right.
coming tomorrow. That's what they said.
So
I have seen the full thing though.
You have seen it?
I have, yeah.
Oh right, okay. So how long is it?
It's about 15 minutes, something like that.
Right. So, in your honest opinion, is it sad?
Nobody's going to like my opinion.
I
just know nobody's going to like my opinion.
No, I'm
until
so
we watch
curious
it.
to hear it then. Patrick, first of all, I saw Dawn was in here too, so she came home and she watched it. Oh, Dawn, you know what? I've been asleep, so maybe I would have watched it too. So no hate. Patrick he misses you and he's disappointed, Mags. Because
who's disappointed?
Patrick, because Patrick Clark didn't get an email from you this weekend.
Patrick, listen, I'm a terrible lover. Honestly, you've got to chase me and chase me. I like to be chased and wooed, Patrick. So.
Genevieve, I'm sorry, I hate to jump in between you and Patrick's love story that's happening. I mean, write a book, we'll read it. But anyways, Justice Team is here, and Genevieve, it's so good to see you. It's been so long. She is one of my favorite thrifting people. Y'all, she loves it when we thrift. She loves it. But she said part 1 is 25 minutes.
Yeah, I forgot there's 2 parts. Yeah.
So isn't the 13-minute one? Is it the teaser that they talked about yesterday? Where she just talks to her for a few minutes and then she's sitting on stage talking to her buddies.
No, I think there was 2 separate ones today.
That doesn't make any sense. Okay, but
I might have got that wrong though, because I got me all confused. So I might have got that wrong.
Okay, we will look it up. Genevieve says no 15 minutes. Yeah, I've already got it pulled up. Look, yeah. Chris is back. We love us some Chris.
Oh yeah, hello Chris. Just to let you all know, apart from she is. I was just going to say, apart from Genevieve, you're all in the other chats, except for BGD,
which is okay. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah, there's about 5 of you that are here. The rest are over there. But if you're happy there, Patrick. Yep. Okay, love. I've got a tease, Patrick.
We're done with Patrick right now. There is a lady missing. Patrick, have some respect.
I know Patrick will be the talk of YouTube.
Okay, I'll look for the other segment while I'm listening to this. Thank you for telling me, because I absolutely wouldn't have known. That's not how. Well, maybe they covered it in 2 different times. All right, let's just get into it. What you say, girls? What you say, guys?
Yeah,
what you say,
definitely, because I'm dying to see it. I'm surprised you never looked.
No, I went to sleep. I'm burning the candle at both ends. I'm struggling. I'm on the struggle bus driving it. So if you're on it or you're on the struggle bus too, get on my bus. Mine's more fun. I play great music. Hairband 80s. Let's go. All right,
A
here.
double-decker bus she's on it. I think it's coming up now, guys. I think she's going to pull it up. Please be patient. Patrick said, hey, to the other two ladies, Lenny and Lizzo.
Hello, Patrick.
Don't start doing this, Patrick, getting me jealous. Don't start it with this. I know what you're doing. We're from across the pond are yous. Lizzo is from Yorkshire. Yorkshire. And I'm from Liverpool. I'm a Scouser. I'll tease you right
Okay,
back.
I found it. I found both of them. Boy,
Go,
I'm glad
girl.
you said that because I wouldn't have known. Okay, and it's weird how this starts, but our source is the Today Show, and they've spliced like all of their, beginning leading up to it, having a discussion. So they started it right when they start talking about it. So that is exactly where we're at. Make sure that you are controlling your own volume. And we'll make it as big as we can over here. Control your own volume. And here we go. This is Savannah giving a one-on-one this morning on the Today Show. Whew. All right, I'm ready. I'm playing it straight through too, y'all. Straight through. No shame in my game.
The day was, I guess, a normal weekend for you.
Yeah.
The weekend your mom went missing. Tell me what you were doing and what happened.
Well, I had given Mike for Christmas a boys' trip to go play tennis. And so he had been gone for the weekend. So I took my kids actually to Carson's.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a beautiful, fun night together. And then I came home. And really, it just got home at the same time that Mike came home. And we were just saying hi, putting down our stuff, and the kids were running around. And my sister called me, and I said, "Is everything okay?"
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "No." She said, "Mom's missing." And I said, "What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?" She said, "She's gone." And she was in a panic. I was in a panic. I'm like, "Call 911.
Yeah.
She's like, "I did. We've called them. They're here." And we thought that she must have had like some kind of medical episode in the night, and that somehow, the paramedics had come because the back doors were propped open, and that didn't make any sense. We thought maybe they came and there was a stretcher and they took her out the back. But her phone was there and her purse was there and all her things. Yeah. And it just didn't make any sense. So, Annie and Tommy had already called all the hospitals, but then I'm like, I'm going to call the hospital. So then I started calling the hospitals, and the police were there and talking to her at the same time. And it was just chaos and disbelief.
Within hours, Savannah was making the long journey home to Tucson.
You saw Annie and Kim when you got to their house. Tell me about that moment.
Just disbelief and hugging each other. Yeah. And I think we were on the phone with the sheriff and trying to, really make clear from the very early moments, Annie and Tommy were saying, this isn't that case that you are used to where someone wanders off. She can't wander off. Mm-hmm. My mom, she was in tremendous pain. Yeah. Her back was very bad. She was trying to, on a good day, she could walk down to the mailbox and get the mail, but most days not. So there was no wander off. And the doors were propped open.
Yeah.
And there was blood on the front doorstep. And the Ring camera had been yanked off.
Yeah.
And so we were saying, this is...
Do something.
This is not okay.
Yeah.
This isn't... Something is very wrong here.
Yeah. Did you guys talk about what possibly could have happened? Like, what could have happened? What went down? Did you?
I think my brother, I mean, my siblings are so amazing. My brother, you know, he spent his career in the military and worked in intelligence and is a fighter pilot and is brilliant. And he saw very clearly right away what this was.
Yeah.
And even on the phone, when I called him, he knew.
He knew.
And he said, I think she's been kidnapped for ransom. And I said,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Well, why? What? And then, I mean, it sounds so like, how dumb could I be? But I didn't want to believe. I just said, do you think because of me? And he said, I'm sorry, sweetie, but yeah, maybe. But I knew that.
You did.
I hope not. I mean, we still don't know. Honestly, we don't know anything.
No.
We don't know anything. So I don't know that it's because she's my mom and somebody thought, oh, that girl, that lady has money, we can make a quick buck. I mean, that would make sense, but we don't know. But yeah, that's probably, which is too much to bear. To think that I brought this to her bedside, that it's because of me. And I just say, I'm so sorry, Mommy. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to my sister and my brother and my kids and my nephew and Tommy and my brother-in-law. I'm like, so sorry. I'm so sorry. If it is me, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We want to thank all of you for the prayers for our beloved mom.
In the initial days, you and your sister and brother sat together. In all the despair, you sat and managed to think of words to say. How were you able to do that in that moment?
Well, my siblings are amazing. And we are a unit. And I talked about how brilliant my brother is, but my sister is equally brilliant and also has special powers of intuition and faith and language and depth and heart. And I feel like we came together with all these beautiful gifts that came from our mom and dad and from God. And somehow together we did our best to come up with the words to say. And I haven't posted one thing or said one thing that the three of us haven't decided together. It is surreal. It's, how is it possible that we are having to make a video speaking to a kidnapper who took an 84-year-old woman in the dead of night in her pajamas with no shoes, without her medicine, this little person, and to beg for mercy.
In the days that followed, multiple notes demanding payment were sent to various media outlets.
The ransom notes or ransom requests came. Did you believe those to be real?
There are a lot of different notes, I think, that came. And I think most of them, it's my understanding, are not real. And I didn't see them, but, you know, a person that would send a fake ransom note really has to look deeply at themselves.
Yeah.
To a family in pain. But I believe the 2 notes that we received, that we responded to, I tend to believe those are real.
Really?
Mhm.
When the Ring camera video surfaced and you could see who that person was, just tell me what you thought when you saw those images of the person who took your mother.
I mean, it's just absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
It's just totally terrifying. And I can't imagine that is who she saw standing over her bed.
Yeah.
I can't. It's too much.
Yeah.
And I'm glad and grateful to the investigators and the technology companies that were able to find that video. To, I hope, at least with people of good heart and compassion, stop the irresponsible and cruel speculation that had started to swirl.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
I'm glad that people saw
Yeah.
what came to our door.
When you talk about the cruel speculation, the whispers, the innuendo that it was somebody in your family, how did you weather that?
It's unbearable.
Yeah.
And it piles pain upon pain. There are no words. There are no words. I don't understand. I'll never understand. And no one took better care of my mom than my sister and brother-in-law. And no one protected my mom more than my brother. And we love her, and she is our shining light. She's our matriarch. She's all we have.
Savannah and her family stayed together in Arizona for weeks as the media coverage grew more intense.
We had to move houses many times because people came, and not everyone is respectful, unfortunately. You know, there was a night we had to leave in the dark in the desert, holding hands, me and my sister and brother and I, get into a car waiting for us because the people outside were closing in. So we found a place that was safe, and then we couldn't really leave too much. So like those days are a blur.
Yeah.
Crying and praying.
How did your family feel about the way the investigation was conducted?
Well, it's still going.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
people have worked tirelessly. And we see that. But we need answers. We cannot be at peace without knowing. And someone can do the right thing. And it is never too late to do the right thing. And our hearts are focused on that.
I think where Savannah ended that, it's not too late to do the right thing, is really, I think, the intent from the beginning.
Yeah.
I think she was a fantasy was that someone sees it, someone who saw someone who knows someone who will say something.
Right. Yeah.
Because, you know, I think this is all about bringing Nancy
Well, it's still an
home.
open case. We're 54 days in. The bravery that she's showing in this interview is not to shine a light on herself, but to remind people that if you have anything to do with this, if you know anything,
Yes.
you firmly believe that somebody does know something, it's not too late.
Yes.
We can still bring Nancy home if you call the number.
And one of the things Savannah actually said to me was she said, please remind everybody that there are lots of people who are missing. And that's why her family has donated to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And she wanted me to underscore that because she wanted to be clear, like this is also about a lot of people who are missing. But you guys know how strong Savannah is. I have never, I knew she was strong, but I didn't know how much until yesterday. Yeah, when I sat with her.
Just of the takeaways there, the fact that our dear friend would blame herself.
Oh, that was the hardest.
That was the hardest part.
Would blame herself for any of this when it was some sicko or sickos out there who would kidnap a woman in the middle of the night. But the only SG could sit there and do that.
Because of the faith that she has,
Yes.
that Nancy instilled in her.
And I think we're going to talk about that, Al. In fact, in the next hour, we're going to talk a little bit more about Nancy and the faith that kind of brought her to this point. So our love and prayers with Savannah.
Again, we want to mention again the phone number to call. If you have any information about this case, that phone number is right there on your screen. 1-800-CALL-FBI.
Let me just say before we jump into this, because obviously there is a lot to break down, a lot to talk about here. And I have written so many notes just on what I've heard. Before we break this down, I see you in chat. We see you. And I try my best always to keep up with chat. Let your voices be heard as well. I promise you we're going to do our best with that. But I'm watching everything chat's saying, and you have no idea how much you make this channel work just by what you have to say as well, because this is about this channel is about everybody with a voice, everybody. I want to bring in Lizzo and Maggie quickly. I'm going to reserve my thoughts and my questions because I'm a processor. Now I will jump the gun and be like, or cry, or you know what I mean? That's just my personality. But if I get time to reflect, then that's usually the correct. I find myself that's usually when I can see things better. But I'm a reactor. I'm a reactive person, so of course I'm reacting like crazy inside my brain. So I just want to listen to what you ladies have to say, and I'm going to reflect a minute here. Let's start with Maggie here, and this is the first time Maggie is seeing it as well. Lizzo's had some reflection, so let's start with Maggie, and then Lizzo, I want you to come in and talk about the couple of hours that you've had to think this over. Mags, what you got?
Oh, I think it was just gut-wrenching. I could feel her pain. I wanted to cry with her. I felt it was genuine. And, you know, the way she was saying she must have been so scared, and she promises she doesn't know anything. On that bit, I'm thinking, is she being told to say that? And they do know that she's no longer here just by certain things that she said, and now we know she was in her pajamas and no shoes on or nothing. Then they're just taking it out. I mean, I just feel my heart bleeds for them. It really does. I feel so much more that I want to find Nancy than I did at the beginning.
So I was glad to hear that she did put to rest, because we've been talking about this since day one. And even yesterday, when we were doing our live on this yesterday, we did talk about, did they have her change clothes? Like, never once did I wonder if the woman was wearing shoes. Lizzo, come on in here. What do you say? You've had time to process. I'm sure you had immediate thoughts too, but I'm sure this has been on your mind for a couple of hours processing. What do you have? What do you think?
I'm just not buying it. I can't.
What part?
Right, don't get me wrong. I feel sorry, very sorry. And I in my mind, I can't work out. Does she know, or is she totally blind to this, as to what's gone on? I just, there's just something sitting right with me. I mean, I can't get my head around, why would a brother turn around and say to her, it's a kidnap for ransom? You see, that wouldn't be the first thing that would ever enter my head. I would just think something really bad's happened. Because at that point there was no ransom note. Normally a ransom would be left at the same time. There was no ransom note, so why would that be his first thought? What this is, it's kidnapped for ransom. And then why would she then think it was because of her? And then why would he say, well, I'm sorry, sweetie, it seems that way? Even if you thought it seemed that way, you wouldn't go and say that to heap the blame on her if you thought that.
So let me do a little bit of, first of all, I just want to make sure chat understands. Look, you may hear different views up here, and absolutely you will. We're 3 different women with 3 different brains, and we have our own thoughts, just like you, and you're allowed your thought here. It's just how you put your thought, and be respectful of other people's way of thinking. And actually, I love it when we all think different, because that's how I learn personally. That's my way of learning. And Lizzo and Maggie, if they're, obviously Lizzo and I we're reading from the same book, but a lot of times not on the same page. Half the time Maggie and I are on the same page about just about anything. But I've learned so much and a different way to look at things, because we're creatures of habit. We're creatures of habit. So it's easy for us to think only one way. And then when someone else brings in a thought, you're just like, wait a second, like I never thought about that. Let me work that into my brain and the way that I think this went down. And sometimes it coincides. Sometimes it fits. It's the piece that I miss. And I'm always saying I'm missing something. So Lizzo, I appreciate you saying that. Because I think most of the people that are in chat, or at least that have been in our chats, even yesterday, there were some people that were pissed off that we were saying, we still, Lizzo and I, not Maggie, still believe that the son-in-law had something to do with this. And there were people in chat that blasted us. They hated it. So we're going to get that, but understand, we're not up here running a popularity contest. We're just up here trying to break down facts and follow the case and try to figure things out for ourselves as well. So Lizzo, I appreciate you saying that, especially after some of the shit that we took the other day on here.
I feel sorry for him. I do. I feel sorry for him, and obviously I feel sorry for Nancy, because something it is tragic. Something's happened, but I can't get away from what I felt from the very beginning. So,
and that's fine, Lizzo,
and
because
that speech
that's your
hasn't
opinion.
changed it for me. Yeah.
So so your theory on what all's gone down so far, seeing that has not changed anything. In fact,
the only thing that it might have made me think this afternoon is maybe I haven't looked at Cameron. Maybe I should have side-eyed him a little bit.
Okay.
But that was it.
I think that's fair, because there also have been, there have been people in chat that have said, what about the brother? And listen, I am, you guys know, I'm pro law enforcement. I'm pro military men, and I understand a lot of the way military men think, because having been raised by one, having married one, I having sons that have gone into the military, I think I can understand that. And I'm just throwing this out. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind about Cameron, but for me, that part didn't stick out, because as a man who, you got two sisters, you know, and obviously they look up to their brother, and he's been in the military for a very long time. He's already military minded. And so for me, when he says, it looks like she's been kidnapped for ransom, men don't think with their hearts like I do. You know, most of us women, we are pulled over by our hearts. You know what I mean? Men usually think with their brains, and that's why I think when there's tragedy in our family, we kind of lean to, and a lot of women won't like hearing me say this, but for me, I lean to my husband for the sound advice, because I know I'm a reactive person, and I'm either overreacting or I'm overreacting, thrown in with a bunch of cuss words. So, but then there's my husband standing there like this great big redwood, who isn't moved and is not moved by reaction. He's moved by fact and what he sees. So I always look to him for the sound advice. Do you think maybe it could, and you don't have to agree with me, but do you think maybe his military service has played, and what he's been trained to look at and trained to do, that the emotion just left, like mom is missing, and all of a sudden he goes into the role of the leader and says, all right, this is what it looks like to me. Ladies, what do you think?
Can I be honest? I would have,
absolutely,
if that had to be me, my mum has lived in the desert like that, I think I'd have said it. Because
really?
I wouldn't have, I wouldn't have thought of anything else. Why the hell would someone take her? So knowing that my sister is famous, she's got a lot of money, I'd say, maybe I wouldn't say it like he did. I'd just sort of say, what if they've taken her? They've kidnapped her, you know, for money. Knowing that Savannah is, you know, you've got money. Maybe it's that. It could be that. I'd have to get that out there, because that's what I would believe, where she lived. And, you know, because it goes on, a lot around there, people are found in the desert and stuff like that, you know, and never seen it. That would be, I would say.
Okay, Lizzo, what do you think? And like I said, we don't have to agree on this at all, but do you think that's possible, that his work mind, you know, his training, he just flashed over to that and took out the personal part of it?
Even with his training, why would you still be the first thing that you would jump to would be kidnapped for ransom? Why would you not just say she's been abducted?
I get what you're saying.
Kidnapped for ransom.
What's the difference? What's the difference between abducted and kidnapped?
Well, somebody could have just taken her and not actually, you know, want money for it or any kind of reward.
That's what that
whatever.
Means, abducted. See,
abducted means kidnapping.
Okay, because I just thought the two of them was the same, and it was just people call them different. So
abducted and kidnapping, they're about the same. Yeah. But when you add the for ransom,
okay,
that's different. And I just don't get why that would be your first, you know.
You would just say, I think mom's been kidnapped. I get what you're saying there.
Yeah.
But maybe at the same time he's saying that, he's already processing, but why? So the most logical
I have to query that, and that's why I said I'm wondering, should I have been side-eyeing him a little bit more? Because, you know, I haven't even looked at him. And I found the other thing I found strange is she said about her mum's mobility, and she said, you know, her mobility is bad, her back's bad, she's in agony every day. Some days, you know, she can only just get to the mailbox and back, and some days she can't. Well, I've heard numerous people say that wasn't the case. You know, like some neighbours have said, you know, that she used to come down for the mail and she'd stand and have a chat. There was that guy that they talked to the other week, might have been last week, the pest control guy.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
you know, he said, you know, she's all right on her feet, you know, that she comes out without a walking stick. So
Good point.
You know, it makes me wonder who's telling the truth. Is her mobility as bad as they're saying, or is it not? If it is as bad as they're saying, you still got to question why she's in that great big house on her own, leaving her doors open. You know, I don't
Okay,
know.
so I think that's a good point. So there's so much to say, but that's a good point. I picked up where Savannah says, and she's defending her family and especially defending her brother-in-law. And I picked up where she said that nobody took better care of her mother than her sister and him. And the first thing that popped in my mind was really, because if we go by the timer of the of the door, that, you know, the garage door where we believe that he dropped her off and then left, the door was open 2 minutes. So if he took such great care of mom, wouldn't he have taken time just to walk mom in?
I don't understand.
What says you guys about that?
I mean, if they took that good care of her, why was she getting an Uber to the house? They only live 5 minutes down the road.
Yeah, that
you know,
again,
if her mobility was that bad, you'd go and collect her.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, there's no way I'd let my mum come in a taxi. The only reason that'd be that case is if I was the only driver in the house and I wasn't allowed to drive. I'd had an operation, I'd had surgery or something, and I couldn't drive. That'd be the only reason. But then she'd have to stay because I wouldn't have a going home in the night. So,
and you know, if her mobility is that bad as well, you'd make sure that she had all the correct security in place as well. If her mobility is that bad, I mean, she's her hearing's bad, she's deaf. You know, you would make sure that everything was secure.
Yeah.
That brings us to... Go ahead, Max.
You know, just maybe she was one of them that, you know, wanted to do her own thing and didn't like them interfering, and you're taking my, you know, what is it called?
Independence.
You're not letting her independence. Yeah. Some people are very independent. I had an auntie who would not, under any circumstances, have any type of security, as in alarm in her house or not.
You see, if my mother said that to me, "Oh, you're taking away my independence," my answer will be, "I'm doing it so that you can still have your independence." You know, you're keeping them safe so that they can be independent.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk security. Let's bring that on in here. We learned something from this. In the beginning, we heard that the back door was left open. That was we were told that right away. Now we're hearing the back door was propped open. There's only one reason to prop a door open. You're bringing furniture in and out. You're bringing something in and out that's big and you can't hold the door.
So was it propped open by the parents?
It was, because I can't remember who I heard say it, that she left the door always unlocked. She never locked the back door, the sliding doors or anything. She never locked any of them. What Savannah said is when her sister arrived, they found the back door propped open, which obviously is not normal.
No,
not normal at all. So now this is what I wrote down about the prop door. Like I said, if I'm propping a door open, it's because my hands are full and I can't hold the door, and it's easy get in, get out. So now I'm wondering, and I just want your thoughts on this. First, let me bring this into it. The sheriff, in my opinion, or the FBI they said, look at your video cameras from this time to this time on the late night of January 31st to December 1st, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think we should open the camera views all the way to where Nancy left?
Mm-hmm.
And I ask you this because, and I know that's a lot to ask of people to sit in front of their cameras for 4 or 5 hours, whatever this was. But I ask you this, since the back door was propped open, is it possible that the perpetrators knew Nancy was it's her norm to leave the house on that day and go have dinner with her family, and there was actually a perpetrator in there robbing her while she was gone, and then just ended up staying in the house, or left the back door propped open when he left, just not thinking about
think it was taken.
Yeah, we'd
That
have to
we
know
know
whether anything was
So they
taken. I
say.
mean,
Yeah.
that we know of, but we know that propping a back door open, there's only one reason for that, and it's because your hands are full.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now I'm having to make it work in my brain later.
Would they prop it open so they could run out quick if needed to?
Well, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, here's a thought.
Something I didn't think about.
What if, there's those track marks down the drive? What if they had to prop it open because they were wheeling her out in something, and they took her out the back?
Yeah.
I know there's blood at the front, but maybe
Yeah.
she was trying to escape them and left her bedroom and went to the front door to try and get away from them, and that's how the blood ended up there. And maybe they've wheeled her out and they've propped the door open to wheel her out, and they've wheeled her off in something.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a great thought.
Mm.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, because if somebody's in your house and you're trying to get away, you're going to run to the closest door, and that would have been her front. Obviously, it would have been her sliders, but you can't get out of her little courtyard area by her door. I mean, by her. So her closest door outside the house, because I've done that before. I've ran straight to the front door when I thought somebody was coming in the back. That's just. And were they when she got the door open, were they able to grab her? Did she get hit, fall down? They dragged her back through the house knowing that camera was there?
Yep.
Good
There's
point.
someone saying about the granny cams. That wasn't mentioned, was it?
Not yet. Not yet.
Oh, God.
I think we just really need to, I think the back door being propped open is so significant, and there's so many more scenarios about that back door being propped open to me than anything else. Anything else. That is just the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing to me. So here's and the other thing is, listen, I'm on team that this sheriff department screwed this up day one, because all these questions I feel like should have been answered a long time ago. Savannah shouldn't even have to be wondering still about some of the things that she's talking about. And to me, when she said that the back door was propped open, and then I thought about the time frame that the police asked for the neighbors to look at their video cameras, it was from early hours the late hours of Saturday night into the early hours of Sunday morning. What about the hours after she left and the house was supposedly empty? I want to know that. And if any neighbors listening, or a neighbor or something, have them look at that. Have them look at their cam. And not only that, yes, your traffic's going to be a little bit higher on your road, but I'd be real curious to know if the same 12 cars that passed by that one security camera 8 minutes after Nancy's pacemaker quit communicating with her iWatch, if that car or a car that looks similar passed by during the hours that Nancy was actually with her family. Just something to think about.
Yeah.
Let's get to reactions. What did you guys think of Savannah's? Did you feel like it was a put on? Did you feel like it was genuine? A genuine emotion we were seeing from Savannah. What do you guys think?
I do. I think it was genuine.
Liz?
Not really.
Yeah.
My initial was great act. That's what I thought initially.
And that's okay.
But yeah, I still feel sorry for her. You know, I don't know. There's just something about it all that it doesn't jive right with me.
I think it's unsettled you to think anything, isn't it? From the very beginning.
Yeah,
you just
there's
can't
just something
shift,
doesn't
and
jive
that's
right. I
fine.
can't, you know.
Yeah, so you're seeing everything as not right.
You know, but I will hold my hands up and apologise if I'm entirely wrong at the end of all this. But
it's okay to be wrong. We've all been wrong before.
Yeah.
Sue says if Nancy's back door was propped open, then maybe someone was planning to go in while Nancy was out and left it open for himself to enter later. I just don't understand what would be propped open if that was the case, because
it's unlocked anyway.
You would take the chance of now does propped open, wait a minute, I'm rethinking this. In Savannah's mind, does propped open mean propped all the way open, a stone or a chair in front of it so you could carry heavy stuff in and out and have your hands free? Or does propped open mean that there's a tiny little rock right there that's just letting the door shut too, but not all the way, and letting it catch? There's the question.
Maybe so.
Yeah. So we need to know exactly how far the door was propped open.
Because you wouldn't want to leave it propped right open with all them javelina things running through your garden, would you?
Mm-hmm. That's right. And then you take the chance of whenever she comes home, if these are strangers that are abducting Nancy, you take the chance of, maybe her son-in-law or whoever brings her home is going to come in and do a security check and say, good night, Mom, peace, we're out, see you next time. You know what I mean? So you leave that chance of somebody seeing a propped open door and think, what the hell? Let's get the hell out of here and call the cops. So that makes me wonder as well. Let's get to Hoda. I always pronounce her name wrong, and I'm not being disrespectful about that. I'm not trying to be. I just really screw up her name all the time. What about her reaction, you guys? I will say first, I'll be the bad person this time. She was getting on my fucking nerves, straight up. Because
where were the tears? I could hear a lot of gulping and sniffing, but where were the tears?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Here's what I'm thinking about. Look, training aside, that yes, you're going to cover some really sad fucking cases of missing children, of children whose bodies have been found with God knows what. They cover them cases. Not one time is anybody sniffling on that panel. And yet all of a sudden you're doing a case of a missing 84-year-old woman whom, yes, you know, but you have training that says no emotion, knock it off. Like we're in investigative mode right now. So aside of all that, please tell me that you do not believe that's the first time Hoda has heard the story from her dear friend, Savannah. So by me as a person, say Maggie called me, right? This happened. I mean, we're now into day 55. Maggie calls me as soon as it happens. My mom's been kidnapped. We don't know what to do, blah, blah, blah. Devastating. I'm devastated. I'm crying with her. I'm calling her every freaking day. Mags, is there any update? I'm so sorry. I'm crying with her. But as the days for me goes on, I'm getting stronger and stronger and stronger, right? So by the time I'm having a face-to-face conversation with Mags about it, I would expect Maggie to be still crying because she's the one that is personally affected. That's her mother. But me, I'm sitting at this point now, I'm freaking fuming because my friend is going through this. Her mother's missing. The last thing I'm doing now, I know that all of our personalities are different. I get it. I can guarantee you if I'm crying, Maggie's still crying. So I get that because she's like that. But I would like to say by day 55, if Maggie has given me and Lizzo a one-on-one, neither one of me and Lizzo are crying. We're pissed. We're just like, Maggie, we're going to handle this. Sit back, get you a cup of tea. And me and Liz are hitting that fucking road. Somebody's going to pay. What says you guys about the whole Hoda thing?
The witch, the hill what?
She was getting on my tits. I'm sorry. She just
was. It was annoying. About the girl who was interviewing.
Oh, yeah. I like you said, I've just heard you saying there was a lot of sniffling, but I didn't see a single tear.
Yeah, not a tear.
I
think I would want I think if it was me, I would want my friends to be a bit stronger than that, to kind of be somebody that you can.
On the floor. Me and you totally different. I'd want them screaming with me in a set of awards. I want Lily to go, oh my God, I can't cope. Lili'd have to come over here to Liverpool.
I think if your best mate sat there snivelling, you're not going to be able to. You that's all you'll be doing is both of you snivelling. You won't be able to get a word out, would you?
Yeah.
But for me, you guys, I'm not the girl that's going to sit there. I'll sit there in the beginning with you and I'm going to cry with you. But for me, I'm going to start getting pissed off that my friend is still hurting. And so I'm not your girl that's going to sit there and hold your hand. We'll send Bethy in and Ellie in and the Grands in, and they'll sit there, make you cuppas and hold your hand and tell you how much they love you. But they're also going to say, don't worry about it. Mom and Auntie Leanie's going to go find her. Don't you worry about it, because that's how I react. Because even when my own mother passed, right? Like I just went into boom, 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 boom. And it wasn't until I had to talk to the donor people. I had to figure out where my mother was going, and my siblings were that person, but I've dealt with a lot of trauma, you know what I mean? And now later I'm going to break. And when I break, I'm no good to anybody anymore. But at day 55 let's just give them grace and say even day 50 that this was interviewed. By then I'm just good and pissed off for my friend. So and Sue, thank you for saying that Hoda and Savannah are friends and that people do react differently. And I understand. And I'm just saying, for me, it's hard for my personality to understand that type of where I'm sniveling on camera too. I'm sorry if that is heartbreaking. I'm sorry. I'm not saying Hoda doesn't care. I would still care. But for me, the emotion of just being pissed off that my friend is still suffering like this, I'm a reactive person, remember, so I have to do something. Even if it's not going to help, I'm going to go smash a wall or punch something for my friend. You know what I mean? Hurting. I have to react to it. Yeah. And so I'm not the person that's going to sit there for hours and hold Maggie's hand. We got people to do that. So, all right, let's go. I want to talk about this, and this is not going to be popular. When Hoda at the end was talking about that. Oh no, I'm sorry. When Savannah was talking about how people just don't understand the grief and the turmoil, and she used a word that did resonate, and I've only once in my life had to feel that she didn't use trauma, the anguish, I think is the word she's used. And there's only been like one time in my life maybe that I understand what that word really means. So I get it. That's what she feels. She feels anguished, and I'm not questioning that at all. That's a natural feeling. But she said people won't understand, and it's just sad that people are. She didn't say. I'm using Darleneisms, or Leanieisms, where she doesn't understand that people would, how heartbreaking it is to bring up her family and be accusatory towards them. It's not helping. It's just piling on the pain. Does she forget her profession?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How many times has she covered? And I'm not just talking about on the Today Show, y'all. She didn't start out on the Today Show, okay?
Mm-hmm.
How many times has she covered a case? And before it's ever been said by the police department or the FBI, was the focus on the family every freaking time. Why? Because that's how investigations run. You start with the person that's closer to you.
Yeah.
So maybe, I mean, I'm not saying, oh, goody, now you understand what they feel. But how can you sit there and judge others like us for doing the same exact damn thing that you do on the daily and make money doing it?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be mean, but are you going to start covering things different? Are you going to turn down the assignments now and say, oh, no, I'm not covering that. I'm not going to talk about the family like the sorry. No. Some money talks. And I've always had a real problem with people who judge people when they're, for any kind of action, when they're doing the same damn thing. And especially since I'm not getting paid for shit. None of us here are getting paid in this chat. This channel's not getting paid. I don't monetize this shit. Nobody cares. But you're being paid to do the same thing that's now being done to you. And all of a sudden now it's cruel.
Mm-hmm.
What says y'all?
I agree. She's a professional. She knows how it works. That more often than not, it's family. It's people close to you that have done this. So she can't be surprised that people are looking very closely at family. If they put one foot out of place, somebody's going to be, they're watching them. And that's only natural.
It's only natural. Mm-hmm.
Everybody has come under scrutiny. Even the poor old ladies at church, who she was going to meet up with. They've all been looked at. Everybody's been looked at. Pool guy, gardener, pest control. Everybody. Anybody that's been in contact, and as unfair as that may seem, that's just how it is. It's an investigation.
Right. And your celebrity status or my pain or your pain or anybody else's pain doesn't negate the fact that we all have to be treated the same. An investigation is an investigation, and it starts with the family. And if it doesn't make sense, we're going to sit here and side eye. No matter who you are, you're not above that.
Your celebrity doesn't make you, it doesn't let you off the hook and make you automatically innocent. We couldn't possibly because we're a celebrity. No, it just doesn't.
Right. And we have learned that from the Epstein files of letting celebrities off because they're celebrities and they've got money, or they're our hero. And oh God, my hero wouldn't do that. They're just so sweet. Like you've only
got to look at, I saw, yesterday, it was Justin Timberlake getting arrested.
Yeah.
And the amount of entitlement there, surely not, do you handcuff everything for this offence, and it's like, mate, you've been caught drink driving or whatever, take it like a man, of course you're going to get in trouble. The fact that you're a star is not going to get you off on this,
Yeah. And sadly, a lot of them do get off on that here in the United States because of their celebrity. It just didn't work on them cops, thank God, because it shouldn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so Maggie, what says you? I see that you either brought something up or added something.
Yeah. It was only something that I thought of might be of interest to what Lizzo had sent to both you and I. So just in case she wants to talk with this picture of the car.
Okay, let me get this off
I
the
agree.
screen.
I think she should know better more than anyone. That's the first thing when, the family are always scrutinised before anyone there's suspects. So
Yeah.
I don't see why there was any anger or surprise in it, to be honest, but there you go. So yeah, I agree.
Thank you everybody for being in chat. Listen, come on down, have your opinion, have your say. Just try to be respectful of others' right to have an opinion as well. That's all we do here. We're just not going to bash each other here for an opinion, but you are welcome to it. And in fact, we love a good adult like debate. You don't have to agree with none of us on panel. You could hate what we have to say, but just bring it in adult like, and we can talk about it. So thank you guys so much for being here. I know we're struggling a little bit with chat, and we really do try to keep up with chat, but bringing up stuff, looking into other stuff off the side of our computer to bring to you guys and have a good discussion about it, it's kind of hard. So we want to shout out to the mods, especially Lulu. Girlfriend, I see you. Thank you so much for interacting with chat the way that you're doing. Listen, we all have a part to play here. Become a courting Delaney, become a love bug here, find your place, even if it's somebody in here that is sitting in chat and having a discussion in chat. You have a place here, and we'd love to have you. We'd love to have you. Should we go ahead and watch the second part now that was played?
Yeah.
All right.
I thought it was finished. Yeah, definitely.
No, so the second hour, so the Today Show, for those that live out of our country, the Today Show is done in 2 or 3 hour segments. I can't remember. It's been so long since I've watched them. What they do is they'll, like the first hour, we got that bit. The second hour, it's like a tease to keep people tuned in, so they will stay on the Today Show to see the next part of Savannah's interview. And so they keep them around for an hour before they play the second part. So let's go ahead and do that. I've got it pulled up right here.
Speak about your mom. Oh,
let's stop it right there. Let me just make sure you guys see what I see. And all right, perfect. We're looking good. I'm going to make it as big as I can. This is the second part, the second hour of the series of one-on-one that Hoda Kotb is having with her friend Savannah Guthrie, whose mom, 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie, has been missing now for 2 months, over 50 days. I think we're at day 55 or day 56. So here we go.
You speak about your mom always in the present tense.
Yeah. I mean, she is present tense to me.
Do you feel her, or have you heard her any moments?
Yeah, a little bit.
Tell me about your mommy. Just tell me about her.
My mom she's incredible. She's resolute and strong. Quiet strength, quiet faith, but hard fought. She's funny and a little mischievous, I would say, in her humor. She's a noble creature. She does what's right. She walks in faith, but not a fake, pious, put on faith, but like a grounded, earthy, she fought for it faith.
When you posted Please Pray in the beginning, the ocean of love and prayers, did you feel that? Did you sense what was happening?
I do feel prayers, I do. I believe that. I think she would have been just amazed. Just truly amazed.
One of the images that stayed with me through all of this was you and Annie and Tommaso walking up and looking at the flowers and at the notes, as I saw that, I thought, oh, I wonder if Savannah's going inside, and what that must have felt like for you to go inside of your mom's, your childhood home, your mom's house.
Yeah, I mean, this is the house that we grew up in. It's really the only house I've ever known and remember. So we moved there when I was about 4, I think. Mm-hmm. It's the house where I came home on a Friday night at 16, and my mom and sister were on the couch praying and told me that my father had died. It's the house where all of our memories are, good and bad. So it's hallowed ground. My mom loved and treasured that house. In good years and lean years, they were able to hold on to that house. That's my mom's safe haven. It's really hard to see that violated, and the terror that she must have felt is unbearable. It's unbearable.
Tell me, while you were spending all this time in Tucson, your kids were home, what do they know?
Well, it's so hard with kids because, you know, you want to protect them. Dale would write me all the time, Mama, any leads? Any leads? Do you hear anything? You know, any hope? And I think that, you know, we tried to talk to them and try to give them a little more certainty than we have, to let them grieve. And for my little nephew Olmo too, you know, there's just a way in which this is even so much harder on Annie and Tommy and Olmo, because they're there.
They're there, yeah.
And they were there every day for my mom. They made it possible for her to stay in the house we grew up in that she loved so much. I think she always stayed in that house because I think she still felt my father there. All our memories. You know, let her have her space. And it's just a way in which this is just even more excruciating for them and all that they've been through.
I know it was a hard decision for you, and I know you told me about this, was coming back here, leaving Arizona to come back to New York. Why was that so difficult, that choice?
I looked out the window of the airplane and just thought, where are you?
Yeah.
That desert, that beautiful desert that she loves. Where are you? Yeah. How could I leave you? But my mom taught me a lot about grief. Our family knows grief. My father passed when I was 16 years old. He was only 49. It was a shock. And I remember my mom saying in those early days when Daddy died, like, you have to get up and decide and do. Just decide and do. And she had read that in a book that meant a lot to her and her grief. And so I always remember that. So I'm trying to decide and do. Just get up and decide and do every day. You know, I've felt terrible grief, and I felt unfathomable love and comfort. the goodness and kindness of God is remarkable and in equal measure to my sorrow. Wow. She showed us how to survive the unimaginable. When she lost my dad, she was 46 years old. She had 3 kids. She had never worked outside the home. She had to get up. She had to find a job. She had to mother 2 teenagers and 1 young adult just starting making his way into the world. She took care of her mother, her brother who had Down syndrome. She invited to come live with us. She worked part-time to make ends kind of meet. She found a way, another job, a job she turned into a full-time job, a job she turned into a career. She had a second life of purpose and meaning. She had a million friends. She stayed strong for us. She was resolute. She was real. She grieved. I remember moments in my childhood and those days after my dad died. She was so strong. But some mornings before dawn, when she thought we were still sleeping, I would hear her crying at my door. To not be alone in her grief. So she taught me to be strong, but she taught me to be true. My faith is strong and resolute, but I early on felt that I heard, for one of the very few times in my life, I did hear God speak to me. As I said to myself, I can handle anything, God. I can handle anything. I just can't handle not knowing. We can't handle not knowing.
Yeah.
I have to know. And I heard a voice. And it said, you do know where she is. She's with me. She's with me. So whether she is on this earth still, or whether she is in heaven, I know where she is. I know who she's with. But we need to know.
I mean, Savannah's faith has been on.
All right, guys, I'm going to stop it right there because I just can't stand to listen to the commentating from the couch and from the news desk. Thank you guys so much for being here. A big, big, big thank you so much to the mods that are doing their best to interact in chat. Usually we're a lot better. This is the highest number I've ever seen, and 907 people that have been in chat at one time. Thank you all so much. If even 1% of you will hit the like button, that's all we ever ask here, is just to give us a thumbs up for this. I'll go ahead and start this. I didn't write a lot down because I didn't glean a lot from that side of it, just other than her faith. And I always knew she was a person of faith. I was watching chat while I was listening. And I'm gonna bring up the unpopular opinion, and especially an opinion that YouTube itself and a lot of YouTubers don't like to talk about, and a lot of people who hang out. When I say YouTubers, I'm talking about every one of us that frequent this app. In today's world, I am finding generations that are coming behind mine have problems with the police and any kind of law enforcement, any kind of discipline, any kind of rules, any kind of anything. I'm just going to speak about it because I grew up in a different generation. I grew up in a generation where if you didn't follow the rules, you know, you paid the consequences. And in my family, that meant corporal punishment. I raised my kids that way. You raise your kids however you want to raise them. You believe however you want to believe. But somebody in chat a couple of times did put this in there. They said, what about and I'm again paraphrasing what they said, but Savannah running news on defunding the police. And now all of a sudden you need them. I have always said to people who tell me, you know, fuck the police, fuck Trump, fuck Obama, fuck this person, fuck the FBI, fuck, you know, you hear it all, right? And I always say, yeah, everybody hates a cop till they need a cop, right? It is true. If you go back and you do some research on Savannah Guthrie, now listen, I understand she's a journalist. She's got to report on everything, whether it's a popular opinion or not. She's got to report on everything. I don't know her personal beliefs about defunding the police, but when you put shit like that out there, and then all of a sudden you need the police. I mean, this is a case. Your mom needs the police. We got to find your mom. And to do that, you're going to need the police. You're going to need the FBI. You are going to get people that are sitting back going, oh, wait a minute. Weren't you just the other day talking about this and that? Look, I'm not saying that there aren't bad cops. There absolutely are. But there's also bad people that work at McDonald's, and your asses are still going and getting your Big Mac, right? And whenever someone's breaking into your house, you're not sitting there going, yeah, the cops are bad people. I don't think I'll call them. I'll just sit here and wait it out and hope to God this turns out good. No, you're calling the police, so knock it off. And that's the way that I feel about it, right? So I mean, that's a very valid thought. Are people having trouble having any kind of sympathy for Savannah because of what she reports on, because what she looks like she supports and what she doesn't? What says you guys about that?
Well, I'm like you. I was raised the way you were. You respected the police, and that was the end of it. You respected a lot of people that these kids today don't respect. It's changing so much, the thoughts out there. But like you say, she's a journalist and she has to report on everything. But if she put out there, that's a personal belief that about the police, how she feels about them, or is that what she's covering?
You know, that's what I said. I don't know what her personal belief is.
Right, okay.
But as a journalist, the reason all the time why people quit their jobs, look on the mainstream media, Megyn Kelly, even what's her name, Ashley Banfield, who I like. I don't like Megyn Kelly that much just because she's got a lot of my personality. And then, you know, when I don't like her, I think to myself, bitch, you're the same person. Shut up. Who are you to judge Megyn Kelly? So I have to be honest and real with myself about that. But there's some things that even I wouldn't go as far as Megyn Kelly, because I'm not out to hurt people. I have opinions and I am rough around the edges, but I would never intentionally hurt somebody. But if you hurt somebody of mine, I'm coming out swinging, and I don't care if you get hurt. And that's just the way it goes down. But but unfortunately, money, status, and lifestyle, to me, it has always been and always will be the greatest factor of people's character. Unless you grew up like us, who the normal people, I call them normal in the sense of you didn't have too much and you didn't have too little. If there was a package of split pea soup in the pantry and that's all you had, you were going to have a great meal that night because your mama knew how to season it and make it good. So you never thought that you were poor, but you always knew that you weren't rich because you weren't walking around in the same shoes everybody else was, right? So for people like me who grew up in a different time, a different generation, I think our values as a country, or maybe even as a world, has changed. And the dollar speaks so loudly that it almost gives you permission to do whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want. And you're not concerned with your next door neighbor anymore. Whereas the way that I live my life, which is I don't need anything. And so I'm not poor, but there are still things I want that I'll never be able to get because I'll never have that much money. But I guarantee you, if one of my neighbors on the street was hungry, I'd be like, your name's in my pot. Let's go. Come on. You know what I mean? I give them money to help keep their light on. You know what I mean? Maybe not all of it, but I give what I have. Oh, there's Jessie, y'all. That's
She's
nobody
right on me knee. I've just had to give it a good little pat down to shut her up and she went louder.
Yeah, that's nobody passing gas here, y'all. That is Maggie's little pug in her. I call it the pug because it
my
sounds
little
like
shih tzu sounds so loud.
Yes, but do you guys get what I'm saying? I mean, could it? No, I don't know if that's her personal beliefs, but wouldn't you think if she didn't think those things and she had a high thought against it, that she would say, I'm not covering that, guys, even if it means I'm going to go work for the local news station, or I'm going to go start a YouTube channel, which is exactly what a lot of these big names are doing now. They're done answering to the man in the suit. You know, they're going to report on things that they want to report on, and have their own morals and their own integrity. And there is a way to do it, and it's on social platforms today. So did the reporting that Savannah has done on defunding the police, on the Epstein files, I watched, and I'm not trying to bring Epstein in this and sideline real quick, but it is a part of this in a way. I watched a video of her interviewing Jennifer, you guys, I did a live on her, Guthrie. And I just watched Savannah's face the whole time while I think her first name was Jennifer. Guthrie was talking, and she looked disgusted. She didn't have any, to me, in the way I was reading her body language and her face, she had no compassion for that girl. So does all that have something to do with how people are saying, no compassion here? Where was your compassion during this one? Where's your compassion for these victims, that victims? Oh, now you're the victim, so we are supposed to. What do you guys say about that? What do you say about that, chat?
I think all that is obviously why they feel that way. So what does the chat think?
A lot of people are saying defunding the police and the Epstein files, and I think they fought over that house. In my humble opinion, somebody in that family hired somebody, and it's all over that house in the will. Lizzo, what says you about the grief, I would say, that Savannah and her family are taking from a lot of the public, and not having any compassion for them? Do you think it has anything to do with the things that she's covered, the umbrella she stands under?
Maybe so. I mean, it's difficult for me to say because obviously I have no, when I don't watch her, I'm not in America, so it's hard for me to kind of judge it on that because I don't see much of what she covers. But that could be why maybe people, have an opinion, or maybe they don't feel as sympathetic towards her.
All right, sorry.
It certainly doesn't. It doesn't affect how I feel towards it, obviously, because obviously I don't have much experience on, her views or anything. I don't really know much about her views, so it doesn't affect how I think about her.
Okay. Tashi, thank you for getting the name for me. I hate to mess up victims' names, especially. Her name was Virginia Giuffre. And when I watch, y'all just go and research her interview with her and just watch Savannah's face the whole time. I saw no compassion for that girl. None. I don't know.
Yeah.
Adele says, I hope Savannah hired a private investigator because maybe they would get more results since Nanos effed up the investigation. He should have taken the damn doormat for DNA testing. That's all we've been screaming over here, y'all. We know. We feel the same way. Jonathan, I remember in the beginning talking about the medicine she needed and talking about how much pain her mother was in. I think maybe a mercy unaliving. We haven't heard that. Have you guys heard that? That maybe the perpetrators felt some kind of compassion that she was in a lot of pain and they killed her because they wanted her out of the pain and they couldn't exactly bring her back home. What says you guys about that?
What if that was a reason for the family taking her out? So that she's not in pain anymore.
Lord Dandy, good to see you. Thank you for coming in. Listen, while I appreciate the sentiment of a mercy killing, I'm not buying it. If you have any kind of mercy, you're not going to go in and kidnap a 84-year-old woman and take her out of the house.
Way of doing it.
Right. And at least let the lady put on some shoes, for God's sake. You live in the desert. That's hard on the feet. So that's the problem that I have with the mercy killing. I don't buy that.
No, you're right.
Patty says Savannah's family didn't take good care of her mom. Maggie, got anything on that?
Well, I wouldn't be leaving my mum without security. Like I'd have had to have everywhere subscribed to she as a subscription to make sure that she was okay. I'd have probably argued till I was blue in the face if she was to tell me no. If I had to, I would do it behind her back. But I couldn't walk away knowing that she was in a house like that alone in such a remote area. I mean, does that make them not care? I don't know. I just think they've maybe listened to her too much because they've always, they live there and they've never seen it as a danger. It's you can't become like that where you live. You can leave your door open and think it just doesn't happen here. So maybe that was a big part of it. But and maybe I would have been the same, thinking, oh, she's okay, if she's safe, that's where the safest place she can be. But there you go, wasn't.
No. I want to address this real quick. Summer, I hope you're still in here. I don't know if you are, or anybody else who thinks this of anybody on panel or in chat. Summer says, you people are disgusting. I kind of probably know why you would feel that way, but I would like you to answer people's questions as to they want to know why you would say it or why you feel that way. Listen, you have the right to feel that way. You absolutely have the right to feel like the way that we think, which is why I think you feel that way, because some of us are still blaming the family. And that's your right to think that way. But it would be interesting to hear it from your own words in chat if you're still here, or anybody else that is in here. You don't have to believe like we believe. You could think. I mean, I wouldn't think you're disgusting if you thought whatever it is you're thinking happened to this woman. I don't think it's disgusting because it's not out of the realm of possibility. Anything at this point besides Donald Trump being involved, I'm not entertaining that, and the aliens, I'm not entertaining that. In my mind, is not out of the realm of possibility. So I'm willing to entertain anything that you say or why you believe that we're disgusting. I mean, at least you didn't come me a fucking bitch. So on to that. All right. Thumbs up. Justice Jane says that the Guthries are a tight-knit family is what I see. I dig it. I do have to go back to Lizzo's point, though, because when Maggie was talking about the security, it automatically, I'm pinging back to what Liz says. And so Maggie couldn't understand why there's not, and a lot of people in chat as well can't understand why the security, there's virtually no security on this house, especially no security to according to the standards by which these people live. She has a very famous daughter who has a job that could be considered controversial, right? I mean, we're talking about it here, her controversial job. You would think that at least some kind of better measurements. And then I thought what Lizzo said was, why did Cameron, the first thing you come out and say is, oh, it must be a kidnapping for hire. And then Savannah asked him, is it because of me? And he said, I'm sorry, sweetheart, to tell you this, but probably. Well, if you're that, and I defended him, right? That he has a military mind. He's a man. He's going to think differently than what we think. But now I'm bounced back to Liz, and wouldn't Cameron be calling, being the man of the family and worried about us? Would Cameron be calling and saying, what kind of security we got going on at Mom's? You guys made sure that the security cameras have been checked at least once a year. Did that happen? I don't know, because she could have had the best security. And all we know is the perpetrators went in there and did some kind of black magic that I don't know about and turn it all off. But I mean, if the family, listen, I knew, and I wasn't the perfect daughter. I'm not the perfect person. Make a lot of mistakes. And if I'm wrong about this case, I will be the first one to fire this up and tell you guys I was completely wrong and publicly apologize. And if I could get on the freaking news and on the Today Show, I would do the same thing and apologize to Savannah face to face, because that's the type of person I am. I never come from behind. I'm always in your face. You can bet that. But my question is, if the family was so close, why even for 6 hours was there no security on their mother? And if the family was so close and the family took Annie and Tomasco took such good care of Mama, why was Mama allowed to walk into a house by herself, even if there's no thought of danger, but Mom has mobility issues? What if she fell right inside that doorstep and they didn't know it because they drove off? What says y'all?
Sorry, Lee, I totally missed that. So go to Lizzo, sorry.
Liz may be looking stuff up too. Lord Dandy says, please, can I ask Leanie what happened so far? Obviously something happened. I'm still not sure what we know. We're just getting, Dandy, we're just getting little tidbits. Most of what we know, we don't know. And we're just trying to fill in blanks. What is new about today was Savannah Guthrie, who is the daughter, one of the daughters of the missing 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. Savannah Guthrie is a Today Show co-host, well known in our country, at least for her news reporting and all the other stuff that she does, her journalism. And not only that, I don't know if a lot of you guys know, Savannah Guthrie started out as a lawyer. Okay, she had, I don't know if she still does, but she was a lawyer. So not only does she understand crime from her line of work, she's got background in the judicial system. So what's new about today is today started a one-on-one interview with Hoda Kotb, who stepped into Savannah's job when her mother went missing, came out of retirement, took over her place as co-host on the show. Today and tomorrow, they are airing a one-on-one interview with Savannah, and that's what we're covering is the one-on-one interview. We have gleaned a little bit. We've been given little tidbits, like exactly what she was wearing when she left the house, what she wasn't wearing when she left the house. We weren't sure. We were asking. I never even once thought about shoes, but we were asking, since she was taken, as Savannah says, in the dead of the night from her bed, one would assume that she was just taken out of the house in whatever she was wearing to bed. But then you think about, all right, there's a time lapse here. Time from the minute we see the perpetrator on the porch to the time that Nancy's pacemaker quits communicating with the phone. That's the timeline we have, which means that Nancy Guthrie walked far enough away from her phone. I don't know what the radius is. Maybe we should look it up. So that was quite a few, what was it, 40 something minutes, you guys? Lizzo, Maggie, I can't remember. Was it a 40 something minute? Regardless. So I was thinking, were they in the house?
39 minutes or 41.
Okay, 39 minutes. So did they allow Nancy to get up, get dressed into some warmer clothes? Because do you remember in Arizona, for Arizonians, for people that live out west, it was cold that night. For us that live in the east that are used to ice weather, we would have been perfectly fine in our shorts. So we were always asking, I wonder if they let her actually get dressed. No. Savannah did tell us right there. She left in her pajamas with no shoes on.
Oh.
In the desert. Rocks. Just imagine the rocks alone. I mean, I've got 56-year-old feet, you guys. I don't want, and my feet are sensitive. I wear shoes all the time because I'm used to wearing them. So if I walk out in the yard, I'm like, I step on a freaking rock and it freaking hurts. So imagine an 84-year-old woman's skin on the bottom of her feet.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what has happened so far. Just getting little bit of tidbits that Savannah Guthrie is throwing us in this.
So, Leni, the ransom notes that she thinks was genuine. Obviously, there was some that weren't genuine. Am I dreaming again, or was it said there was a what do they call it? You know, a deadline. Was there a deadline? Was that said?
Okay, yes, right.
Yeah,
I think Lizzo
was genuine.
Lizzo.
What
So
was the deadline? What was it about?
I think Lizzo would know, because wasn't the first one that came in, they gave them days, like till Friday.
Yeah. That was the one they believed was the genuine one, because they gave them certain key
about things in the house. Yeah,
about things in house. But I think they've come to the conclusion the whole ransom idea is fake. Not Savannah. I think law enforcement and that don't believe that the ransom thing was real,
because they never gave proof of life, and usually a ransom before you
but how
get
would you know what was in the house, like?
Well, they asked for
But
money.
if it's not real, it doesn't matter, does it? You know, if it could have been anybody that sent them, you know, who knows?
Right. So Mary Jane Joe says, so, and I do remember this, and I'm sure y'all remember on panel, that the first ransom note came through and they had so many days, and we haven't been told any consequences. There's always a consequence.
Always.
So we believed that the consequence, if the first deadline wasn't met, that they had another few days, but they would get her body back dead. But they would still need to pay money for it. Is that what it was? That's what we believed happened. Like the first ransom was, you can have your mom back alive, put this much money into Bitcoin. When that deadline ended, there was another ransom note that came in. They didn't tell us the consequences, but I believe that it was, we'll bring you your mom back, but she's going to be dead if you give us this amount of money. Then the money thing changed. Remember, it wasn't Bitcoin anymore. It was something else after that, like a whole nother account, I think is when that happened. Maybe that was later. And then after that, we started definitely getting the bullshit ransom shit that people were just jumping on the bandwagon to. But I don't believe the ransom. What would you need? Listen, if you're going,
what else?
If you're going in to just abduct somebody for ransom, you don't need a backpack. You need a gun. That's all you're going to need. The gun was enough to say, get up. And then I probably would have let her get dressed, because if I'm holding her for ransom, bitch, I'm going to need you to stay alive. You know what I mean? That's how I would look at it. I know that sounds harsh, but I'm thinking like a criminal now. If I'm going in to get somebody, I am going to have them get out of that bed. I don't need a backpack for that. Get out of bed. I'm going to have them put on shoes, different clothes, outfits. Go ahead and grab that medication, because I'm giving them 3 days to get me that money so I could bring you back alive. That's why I don't believe in any of that ransom bullshit that she was kidnapped for ransom. I don't.
Well, Josh just said there about, which is making me think now. I mean, I don't know whether you've thought of it, but if they brought it in through the garage, meaning Tommaso, when he dropped it off home, then he came back, because she said, how do we know? And I said, because the garage door didn't open after that. How do we know they didn't go in and, you know, see to her, make sure she was all right before they left? Because I said the garage door didn't open. And she said, yeah, but what if he went in with her through the garage and then he came out the door? Which I never thought of that.
Never thought about that either. That's a very good scenario. And that could have happened. And if he didn't, he in fact did walk in with her and get his mom settled and check everything and left through the front door and said, lock up, mom, then that would make more sense. And I will apologize. Absolutely. I never thought about that. Never thought about that.
I never know.
So
good one, Joss. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for that. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
That's why you have these conversations. Because there are things that we can't think about. I saw something up here too that I was going to say, but oh well, we'll just keep going. Idiots here. CPS, you're welcome to come in here and have any opinion you want to, but you're not welcome to come in here and be hateful to people that have a different opinion than you do. So bye and thank you for the view. Keep going, ladies. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just true crime. We all met through true crime. It's what I watch it every day. It's not because I think I'm a detective or anything. It intrigues me when I hear about stuff. I think you learn by it, you know. And like you say, when we covered the Koberger case, there was so much learning on that, and it brings you to the next one, and you do pick things up. It's just an interest that all of us here have got. What's the harm in that? Everyone has interests and talk about it. So, and nothing said. But when it's true crime, it makes you the sick person or get over it. You're not going to, you're not going to solve it. We're not trying to solve. We're trying to solve it in our own heads. We'll never solve it in real life. Not going to happen, is it? But it's just something we like doing.
And on top of that, if this was your mom missing, wouldn't you want me to do a live every day almost on it to keep her name out there and keep people looking and thinking and wondering and keep the police on their toes because I'm giving them bad press? Of course you would. Don't be silly. All right, we're done giving that much attention. Let's see. Jeremy's in here. He said, I just caught the last couple minutes of the interview. It seemed more like an audition. Interesting. And then Magic says, I thought her interview was performative as well. It seemed like bad acting.
Yeah.
She brought things up that seemed like they were just to gain sympathy.
I agree.
Yeah. I'm not gonna. The only thing I don't know if the tears were performative. I don't know if it was all a theatrical event. But I do have a problem with what I know Savannah Guthrie has covered, and she has done the very same things, not maybe dragged like what I do, because I have this platform and I can say anything I want to. And she has to follow guidelines of TV and their show and stuff like that. But she has been very guilty of covering crimes and blaming family members, because that's how investigations work. You start from inside the house and work your way out. The first people are always the family members. And I'm sorry, I don't give a damn. Come in here and tell me all day long about how the sheriff has cleared the Nancy's children and their spouses. I don't give a flying fuck what he cleared, because every one of us know nobody is cleared until you're not, and until they're pretty much they already kind of know who it is, and you've got a solid alibi. Well, when you and your husband are your alibis, are your own alibis, that's not an alibi. Savannah, yeah, I could see him clearing her. She was all the way over there in New York. Maybe she had been to work that. Maybe her alibi checks out. Maybe Cameron's alibi checks out. He was a pilot. He works. Blah blah blah. All that's there. But
what about her ex-husband?
Yeah. What about her ex-husband?
Because apparently, something like 10 days before Nancy went missing, she did a hit piece on him. And it wasn't nice, the stuff she was saying. Who's to say he didn't have some sort of a grudge and thought, right, I'm going to show you. She's got the career he wanted that he never really got. She got the big job in the limelight and he got Al Jazeera. Who knows?
I like what Mike says here, and I think we'll all on panel agree to this one. He says, here's a better question. If they were at Luke Daly's mother's house, the FBI, the FBI a month and a half ago, can we take suspicion off him yet? Hell no.
No.
Hell no. No and no and no. No. And the other thing is, I've said this from day one and always will continue to say it. The police and any law enforcement and anybody else, you, me, and everybody, are allowed to lie. And the police are too, even when they're interrogating you. The only time they cannot lie is when they're signing on the dotted line, when they're not supposed to lie. I'm not saying that they all don't lie, or that some may not lie. But when we're not supposed to lie is on a dotted line or in a court, when we're on the stand. Other than that, the police could tell us all day long, listen, police don't act on a suspicion and go and SWAT someone's house like that. So much so, the suspicion, and that's what Nano said, right? He said, oh, that was nothing, guys. Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain, because that was we were just looking into a tip that we got. No, tips aren't run with the FBI doing a SWAT on a house. And not only doing that, but putting all of the media on a wild goose chase to get him out of the neighborhood so they could properly SWAT this house without the people in it knowing about it. Sorry, I'm just not buying that one. So absolutely not. Luke, no. I think it was all an involvement. Princess TNA says, burglary gone wrong, ? Maggie, Lizzo?
No. I don't believe it was ever a burglary.
Maggie?
I don't believe it was a burglary either.
No. If it was, for me, if this was a burglary gone wrong, you don't bring in a backpack that's already full. You bring in something that you could carry shit out in that has nothing in it.
It did make me think when it was said. I thought, well, yeah. But then you think about the backpack and them saying nothing was taken. So,
and
no,
see, just because they say nothing was taken, to me, that doesn't mean.
Oh, I know. Like you say, the police do lie.
Yeah.
I get that, but no, I don't believe.
But now with the door propped open, I'm still going to go back to that. Why was that door propped open? Makes no sense.
I think maybe it was just open. They've come in and kept it open. Maybe that's the way they thought they were going to take it out. And then they decided to, maybe the car was round that way. They decided to bring it the other way for whatever reason. Who knows? Maybe it was left open for them to make a quick getaway over the back wall if anyone did come. Because that was more remote over there, wasn't it? If they'd have ran that way. So I think maybe that could have been the reason. I don't know.
Okay. Magic says there are probably some psychological reasons why she seems to put the blame on herself. It generally makes the public less suspicious and gains sympathy. True, I didn't think about that either. Chicken says it's all been strange from the start. Savannah has done nothing but be all weird as hell. YouTube, hi, hey, good to see you again. Why would you be calling hospitals if her house damaged and security cams missing? Oof. Liz, you're good about that. You were breaking down what the family says they were doing and what they said. I mean, why immediately would you start calling hospitals if, surely the hospital,
if I saw blood on the porch and the security cameras were damaged, you could clearly see that they were damaged. No, I won't be calling hospitals. My first call would have been police.
Exactly. Because, obviously they know the last time they saw their mom was hours prior. Mm-hmm. Your immediate thought would be, no, the hospital would have already gotten in touch with us. Let's call the police.
Exactly.
And then maybe call the hospitals. I don't know. But my first thought would not have been especially if one of my siblings said, I've already called all the hospitals. Don't worry about it. I wouldn't. That's already check that off the list. I always try to put things in baskets because I try to do too many things at once. So, and I mentally carry a basket, and if somebody brings something else to me, I'm just like, no, I can't deal with that right now. Let me do this, and then I'll pick up that basket, set it over there. It's the only way I can mentally process things.
At the end of the day, there's 3 of them in Tomaso, so let's face it, there's enough of them there. Delegate. One of you start phoning hospitals, I'll phone police.
Right. Mm-hmm. Tasha wants to know, who's this ex-husband that you're talking about?
I believe he's called Mike Orange.
Mike Orange. Okay, y'all can look that up. Mike says, what my question is, the FBI and the purpose of the warrant. They wouldn't tell us. They won't tell us what the purpose of the warrant. It's all sealed. They want not even the people like the Luke himself, Luke's mother, their own lawyers cannot get that information because it's been sealed. That's how tight this shit is. Sasha says, good to see you, Sasha, again. Luke lied, and so did his mom in his interview with Brianna. Absolutely. We broke it down 100%. I believe he absolutely lied. Debbie says, yes, I'd be in jail if it was my mom. Oh, I would be camped out at the sheriff's office. This is only news I hear. YouTube about Nancy. Thank you, Lace. Wow. So nobody else is still talking about it. I didn't know. I didn't know because I mean, I watch a lot of Nancy Grace. Y'all know Nancy Grace is my boo thing. I love me some Nancy Grace. And then from there, I'm watching Brian Enton because, I mean, let's just face it. Brian has done his due diligence in every case he covers. I think he is very, I think he's got some integrity to him. I really, really do. And he lets you know right away, I'm being speculative. So I appreciate him. And then I watch Banfield too, because she cusses like me. I get her. I get it. I get her. And I think there's something to be said for these big names that say, you know what, fuck you. I'm not working for you anymore. The words that I want to come out of my mouth, you're not censoring anymore. And I'm going to think for myself and start my own business off of YouTube with my reporting. She did it right. I mean, she's taking with her all of those resources that she's worked with through the years that trust her. But I have resources too. I got Lizzo and Maggie and my Mad Mods, and I got boots on the ground, Miss Barbara Smith over there, the matriarch of our channel that lives in Tucson. I got the FBI that lives right here in Tennessee, who answers every question that we need her to. She's a 20-year retired FBI agent. Y'all, we got it all here. But thank you for saying that. That's so kind of you, Debbie. Miss Thornton says, what if an accident happened when he dropped her off? So he went back and told Annie. And so they covered it up because they freaked out. So they hired someone after to get rid of her body and make it look like a burglary. Nobody's ever said that to me. What about you guys?
What if an accident happened when you dropped her off? Well, I said that. That's what I said in the very beginning. You know,
Really?
I'm not. I said I'm not even saying that he would have done it deliberate. But what if something happened in the meal? You know, and then they've had to come up with something to cover it up, because I said I believed all three of them knew what had happened.
Princess, no, honey, nothing was taken from the house. And we know her medication was not taken, her cell phone, her keys, her phone, her iPhone, her iWatch, that actually, from all accounts, her heart, her pacemaker was hooked up to read on her iWatch. And that's how we have the timeline of maybe that's when they took her out of the house, because it quit reading to that. So no, she had nothing personal to be tracked when she left that house. The Witches of Eastwick. Well, that's us. Oh my God, we are. I'm the cute. I'm sorry. As much as I love Cher and who else played in it? Was it Susan Sarandon? I love them. Listen, I'm going to be the hot Michelle Pfeiffer. I'm hot Michelle Pfeiffer in that. Okay. Just letting you guys know. Thank you. What if they did get her back after paying the ransom? That 84-year-old that was airlifted the night of the Range Rover, but they didn't know who did it and are trying to catch them.
Yeah, that's another good one.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, there was a lady that spoke to JLR. She came up to him and said, she's a nurse at the hospital, and she said that lady that was airlifted was definitely Nancy Guthrie. She was adamant.
Yeah, and I mean, they wouldn't come out and tell us, but that is a huge possibility, and we've talked about that. That would, in that scenario, if we go down the road with the scenario that she's already been found and she's in a morgue somewhere and they're trying to build a case, then that would make it why they didn't do any searches, and that the police are saying, you know, deterring the searches and trying to get the the media, YouTube media, all the media out of there. That scenario answers the question of why those things aren't being done. Go ahead, Maggie.
Talking about the watch, obviously it's a watch that you'd have to charge. So say the battery, it was just a night that the battery died, just happened to die, and that's what it was. Maybe she, like they've said all along, that she is local. Then does it continue to give readings if the battery's gone to the GP? How often does he get readings?
Well, I think we talked about that once, and there were people in here. Well, Dot has a pacemaker, and she says every so often the GP does get a readout, but you can also connect. Like it wouldn't only be Nancy
anymore.
What if she? I think. Well, we don't know because we don't know.
Does it mean, doctor?
Apparently,
do you have to be in a certain radius for your doctor to get a reading, or is it that like doesn't matter where you are, it gives a reading? Sorry, I'm
apparently it automatically updates every 24 hours.
So I wonder if,
and that's usually in the middle of the night,
they've received any more updates, and obviously we haven't been told about it. I'm just wondering, has she got to be in a certain, it's Bluetooth connection?
Yeah, but I mean, if tomato hot sauce dude and Annie are the caretakers of her, wouldn't you think that they would also have the link sent to their phone?
Definitely. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, does your doctor get a report every now and again of a reading of what's going on? And if he does, how often does that happen? And do you have to be in a certain area, so many miles away, in order for him to be able to get that? Or doesn't it matter where you are? Because they've said that they believe that she's close. I mean, that's been said numerous times. So I'm just wondering, because they went over with the helicopter with the, what is it called? We were talking about it, Lizzo.
Yeah, sniffer helicopter.
Yeah. And that didn't pick anything up, and that would, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But would that even be picked up if she is buried?
That's a good question.
I'm just thinking, if she is somewhere close to home buried, would it pick it up? Let me look that up.
That's a good question, because we did entertain the thought, and we had to look it up and do some research, that how long the pacemaker would continue to work. And many people out of the medical field came out and said, even if it's a dead body, the pacemaker will continue to work until the battery dies, and they have a long life of years. So if it is covered up with all and we know dirt is heavy, we pick up the bags to do our gardening. Imagine if she was buried, all the dirt on top of her, how would it still connect to something?
What's it called again? The helicopter, the sniffer, what?
Sniffer.
Just a sniffer, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just looking it up.
Dot says, if her cardiologist is not monitoring hers, if she has a problem, she has to send in an actual report. Their office gets a report once a month. In order for my phone app to keep getting a reading, it has to be within about 10 feet. Okay. Thank you for that.
But let's say she died, he would get a report, wouldn't he? The cardiologist.
I mean, I would have thought that even the family, if they're hooked up and getting, the same thing that she's getting on her readings on her iWatch, that they would know too, but that the heart stopped.
Yeah, it wouldn't be able to shock it anymore. So, surely they would get some sort of a notification of that.
Yeah. Jeremy says, so many possibilities. I hope it gets solved. I know. Princess wanted to know, can you ping a pacemaker? Well, so it's not so much pinging, but they have what's called a sniffer, and it can snip out apparently so many feet from a pacemaker. It's an electronic device, and they put it on the bottom of a helicopter, and they went around Nancy's house and it didn't pick up any pacemaker. Now, did they go out far enough? We don't know what the perimeter was that they did or how long they were doing it. We don't have that information. But from what I understand, there's only one way if the pacemaker is missing, i.e. in a body or, God forbid, somewhere else, that the only thing that can find it is what's called a sniffer.
I've got this if you want me to read it, Lee.
Yes, please.
So it says, yes, an electronic signal sniffer or a high sensitivity metal detector can detect a pacemaker implanted in a body, even if the person is deceased and buried. In recent cases in 2026, law enforcement has used specialized Bluetooth sniffers mounted on helicopters to fly low over terrain, aiming to detect the low energy Bluetooth signals emitted by modern pacemakers, which continue to function for a time after death. Modern pacemakers, often called cardiac implantable electronic devices, or CIEDS, use Bluetooth low energy to transmit diagnostic data to smartphones or home monitors, emitting signals every few minutes. A pacemaker does not stop immediately upon death. It can continue to emit signals until its battery dies, which can take several years. While signal sniffers detect Bluetooth transmissions, handheld metal detectors are also highly effective at detecting the metallic casing of a pacemaker in a deceased person, showing 100% sensitivity in studies. The technology generally requires the sniffer to be relatively close to the device, typically within a range of 20 to 40 feet, though amplification can increase this and flying slowly. The signal can also be affected by depth of burial or environmental shielding, but in open, shallow desert environments, it is a plausible investigative, can't say the word, investigative tool. While a pacemaker doesn't have GPS detecting the signal, can narrow down a search area to a specific location.
So basically, in answer to that, if she's buried, then no, they would struggle to get it.
It can pick it up.
They can, depending how deep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just so you guys know, I heard, I don't know how true it is, but I was watching some graveyard stuff because y'all know my morbid curiosity, and they said they are actually burying people. It used to be 6 feet under. They're not burying them that far down anymore. What?
Oh my God.
221, bless my baby. June. Miss June's in the house, y'all. Hello, Miss June. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We appreciate you guys so much. You guys just rock the Casbah. Let's see. They took out brown bags of evidence out of Annie's house, plus sprayed it with luminol. Why?
Well, because they were the last people to see her, I guess.
Mm-hmm. That's what I would think too. And if they killed her in the house and they cleaned up blood, it would still show. Mary Jane says maybe they were just covering all their bases. They should. There's a whole bunch of bases that are left uncovered, though. Let's go, girls. Let's go cover the bases. Yeah, because remember, they didn't right away have video footage saying for sure that tomato hot sauce dude actually brought his mom home, right? Mm-hmm. So the first step would be to look at the last place she was known to for sure be alive. And that would have been at their house. So they want to make sure there was no foul play there at the house. And then they ended up getting the surveillance cam information, which I believe completely 100%. They have way more than what they're telling us they have. And they're just sitting back. I think they know, you guys. I think they know. I think they know who did it. Now, I did watch a documentary on two different, you guys can Google it yourself. I watched a documentary on two different crimes that happened here recently where they actually tried a man for the murder of his wife without a body. And then the other one, they were fixing to go to court and try him with another man. And they ended up finding the body days before court started. So that changed everything. I don't remember if he went ahead and pleaded out or not, but they absolutely can try you. They just got to have the courts go ahead, show enough proof that, yes, we know she's dead. Here you go. If the court signs off on it, if they feel like they can build a case against you without the body, they will certainly do that. It's just like the there's been many of them. I don't really like that tactic, to tell you the truth, because there's always a what if. But I mean, if you're seen on video with a dead person in your car and then you're going through a McDonald's, and then you can't find the body, I can see certain things. Because, listen, you're always on a camera somewhere unless you're being abducted. Think of it that way. You're on a camera 24 hours a day, even in your home if you've got any smart devices. You're being listened to unless you're being abducted or a crime is being committed against you. What's happening there? I'm being a total conspiracy theorist right now, y'all. Maggie, you got anything? If not, we are going to pull up some Banfield.
It's saying it's not, it doesn't say either way. It just says normally when a body's buried 6 feet, that's usually enough to stop it. And if buried anywhere else, by murders or whatever, it depends if the soil is wet, damp. That can affect. So it's environment. You can't answer it one way or the other until you give the right environment. So
and nowadays they take out, even if your body's going to be buried, they will ask the family, I think, or maybe in some states somebody can look it up. Is it law to take out medical devices such as a defibrillator or
Lou already answered that, didn't she?
Yeah, but that's in her country. It's different. It's different in the States. And for us, it's not only different for our country. We have different laws for each state. The only thing that I think stands is if you choose to be cremated and you've got any kind of metals in your body, a pacemaker or a wrought iron up your back or something like that, all that, of course, is going to burn down. And the family's asked, do you want this stuff or do you want us to dispose of it? But I'm not sure what
I've just seen someone here
in Arizona,
which is part of this. Someone said, I have a pacemaker since 2014. You have to have it turned off after death and taken out. You can donate it to animals, not humans.
Now that's exactly what Lizzo told us. But I mean, not Lizzo. I'm sorry, Lulu, who
I'm trying to find out where this is.
Lulu is another source of ours, y'all. She used to work for the medical examiner's office, the coroner's office. She used to work for all that. So she's very knowledgeable upon dead people and how the bodies are treated once in their custody. So y'all, we've just been blessed by all these people that have that we knew way before we ever thought we were going to be doing true crime, that God just put us all together and here we are. Rapper, I don't handle the wrenches, honey. That is up to Melly Joe handles all the wrenches. I don't give out wrenches. I don't take away wrenches. That is all on Melly Joe. Like I said, everybody plays a part here, and she's the lead mod. She does all that. All right. So if we're done with that, I just do want to agree with what that person in chat did say. So I'm thinking maybe she's from our country who said that they take the pacemaker out and turn it off. That's also what Lulu said, that in their country, which is Australia, they would take the pacemaker out and turn it off. Maybe for this very reason. Okay. Patty said, yes, all medical devices are removed by medical examiner or mortician, but in the US, they reuse the pacemakers. Well, we looked that up because we were horrified. I'm not going to lie. I don't want any dead people's pacemaker put it into my body. The thought just is like, to me. But I guess if it's going to save my life for a little while, I guess I'll take it. All right, we are going to, hi, Sam, I am. Good to see you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We're going to listen to what old Banfield had to say herself about clues that came out of the Savannah Guthrie interview. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank here. And then she says her police source reveals an inside detail. This was, if somebody could put in chat our disclaimer, Maggie, if you will run it across the stream, read it out for me while I figure this out with her. Thank you guys so much for being here. Go ahead.
Fair Use Disclaimer Copyright Act of 1976 gives fair use of allowance for this content to be used for purpose of criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research.
All right. Thank you so much. YouTube, we're running it across our screen and we're also dropping it in chat. Do not come for us. We're doing everything we can right here, y'all. We only push a little bit, but we don't push back the whole way. All right. This was dropped just 3 hours ago. Our sources and Ashley Banfield dropped dead serious. Y'all, I really love me some Ashley. I think me and her could hang for at least a little while. And then I'd be like, I'm tired of the small talk, Nancy. I mean, Ashley, give me some gruesome details. But I'm telling you what, Nancy Grace, I would follow her like a fucking puppy for the rest of my life if she would allow me to. I think she's so interesting because I'd love to say if she brought up her twins one time to me, I'd be like, Nancy, if you mentioned your twins one more time, this is going to become a crime scene. We know about the twins, Nance. We got it. Shut the hell up. But I think she's brilliant. She's my boo thing, and I love her so much. All right, let's put this on the screen. Let's hear from Ashley Banfield. All right, can we see it? Yep, I'm going to make it bigger. You guys watch your own ears because I cannot control your volume. I can only control what's happening right here. All right, let's go.
And this is Drop Dead Serious. Big news today in the Nancy Guthrie case. It's day, 54. Every time I see the numbers go up like this, I still can't believe how long this has been. But a lot has happened that I want to bring to you. Number one, Savannah Guthrie has spoken for the first time openly about a lot of details, not just about how this has affected her, how it's affected her family, but she's also released details about the investigation and what happened inside that house that we had not heard before. And some that actually confirmed things that I reported to you on day 3. So I'm going to play for you the information that Savannah has released in her interview on the Today Show with Hoda Kotb. And also, I've learned some information as well from my sources in the investigation about the progress or lack thereof, specifics about that. And in a moment, you're also going to hear from an investigator who perhaps might be the leading authority on cases that are real difficult to solve. Like the case that he was instrumental in solving took up to 4 decades to solve. So Paul Holes, famous Costa Contra investigator, he is going to join me in just a moment and talk about when a case atrophies and how they draw down on the investigators, the staffing, the resources, and all the rest. Like, what's the actual metric they use to start pulling everything away? Because right now we know there's a task force, right? It used to be 400 investigators, right? Now we know it is task force, and it may be only a dozen or so. That's FBI and Pima County Sheriff's Department investigators. So he's really, really knowledgeable about that, especially with the information that I just learned from my source about where this investigation stands now. So let me just get right to it with some of the news that Savannah Guthrie made when she did her interview on the Today Show this morning. And again, it is March 26th. It's Thursday. So Hoda got right to it and talked about how she learned that her mom was missing. Like, what were the steps that she went through to find out what had happened and arrive down in Arizona and meet up with her siblings for the first time. And what you're about to hear is not only that information, but also listen very carefully in Savannah's answer, because she gives a detail about the back doors of the house. And I need to tell you that a couple days ago, I did an episode on information that I got from my sources, law enforcement sources, saying that the Guthrie kids had told the police that Mrs. Guthrie routinely left her back doors, plural, open, unlocked. And we did the best we could to look with every image we could at the back of Mrs. Guthrie's house. And we could only identify 2 back doors. But since that episode, Gray Hughes, who also helped me to identify this, was able to identify a 3rd door that you just cannot see.
All I'm going to say is called it. Called it. I've been saying there are 3 back doors back there, and I've never seen the other one, but it only makes sense. Listen, I'm going to toot my own horn, toot, toot.
It's a 3rd back door that actually goes into the kitchen.
It's so easy to become a podcaster with Riverside. First, go to Riverside and open an account. When you're ready to.
I was just on Ashley Banfield's show yesterday, and a recording, and she put out a video, and we were discussing where the doors are, and then she apparently uncovered an image today where it shows, I think it's Savannah Guthrie inside the home. And here's that picture right here. Now, when you look at this, you see this kitchen over here, and then there's a window kind of high up here. And there's the undercovered area. And the way you're looking at it in that kitchen is about like this. So that means that the kitchen sink and everything is right under here. And then that door is right there. Now, we haven't seen any pictures where we see a door right there until just recently. I just happened to be looking at it after Ashley sent me that image. I thought, well, heck, we got to go see if we can verify whether or not that door is in that position. So if we take a look at this video right here, this is one that was put out, looks like on Forbes, CNN video. And this is the slider that goes into that living room area just as you come into the house, or maybe family room. I think it's probably his living room. So that's a slider that goes in there, and there's sort of a long entryway down to the arch. Now, to the left here, where they're about to go into, that's likely Nancy Guthrie's bedroom slider. So this is on that little sort of secluded patio. And there you see it right there. There is the bedroom slider. Now, let me continue forward around the house here. And then this guy right here comes walking out from under here. Now, I didn't notice it before, but look right there. There's a door
Yep.
And that matches exactly where you would predict the door would be based on an image.
There's another back door that goes into the family room behind that outdoor patio. And then there's a third back door that goes to a garage or a storage room. At least that's what the old plans say. So there's 3 back doors. And if you listen to Savannah's answer, you will hear her refer to back doors, plural, being open. Take a listen.
And my sister called me and I said, is everything okay? Mm-hmm. And she said, no. She said, Mom's missing. And I said, what? Yeah. What are you talking about? She said, she's gone. And she was in a panic. I was in a panic. I'm like, call 911. Yeah. She's like, I did. We've called them. They're here. And we thought that she must have had like some kind of medical episode in the night, and that somehow, the paramedics had come because the back doors were propped open, and that didn't make any sense. We thought maybe they came and there was a stretcher and they took her out the back, but her phone was there and her purse was there and all her things. Yeah. And it just didn't make any sense. So, Annie and Tommy had already called all the hospitals, but then I'm like, I'm going to call the hospital. So then I started calling the hospitals, and the police were there and talking to her at the same time. And it was just chaos and disbelief.
I was fascinated to hear that. On day 3 of this investigation, my source told me back door wide open. Now I've had 2 other law enforcement sources who've confirmed back door wide open. And here is Savannah saying back doors, plural, propped open. So just a very interesting piece, to the puzzle from Savannah herself. I also want to play for you now what Savannah said about the condition of her mom. We heard early on that the Pima County Sheriff, Chris Nano, said that Mrs. Guthrie couldn't walk 50 yards without help. Well, Savannah got more specific about her mom's medical condition and her mobility. Have a listen.
I mean, from the very early moments, Annie and Tommy were saying this isn't that case that you are used to where someone wanders off. She can't wander off. Mm-hmm. My mom, she was in tremendous pain. Yeah. Her back was very bad. She was trying to, on a good day, she could walk down to the mailbox and get the mail, but most days not. So there was no wander off. And the doors were propped open. Yeah. And there was blood on the front doorstep. And the Ring camera had been yanked off. Yeah. And so we were saying, this is...
Do something.
This is not okay. Yeah. This isn't... Something is very wrong here.
Yeah.
Did you hear that last bit that Savannah said, what she mentioned, that front doorbell cam had been yanked off? This is still a big mystery. My source on day 3 said the cameras had been smashed. I took that once we saw the empty bracket to mean maybe smashed off the mount, maybe something had been smashed off, because Fox had reported that there were glass fragments below that front doorbell mount. And then eventually the mount was seized and taken into evidence, but not for weeks. There is Savannah saying that it was yanked off. And every time I see that perpetrator going back to the garden and pulling up some of the weeds and then holding them in his fists and coming towards the camera, and then you can see his fists working with it, I keep thinking he's using it as a vine to get between the camera and the mount and yank the camera off, because you can't get your fingers between it. It's too narrow. The Nest cam and the mount are too narrow. They're like the width of a quarter. So I wonder if Savannah thought that too, or saw different video than we saw, or more video than we saw. Who knows? But maybe she's come to that conclusion that camera was yanked off. Just a very interesting detail at a time when there are so few details. Obviously, this is such a painful interview for Savannah. I think every day is just excruciating. And she's already mentioned that at night she wakes up every night and that it's excruciatingly painful. Savannah then talked about
If you have never tried Laura Geller Foundation, this is the perfect opportunity. Guys, it's on.
How?
Let me just stop right here. Okay, yeah. Listen, I thought that I may be the one that has confused people about the sliders, because I have said all along that the back, looking at the back of the house where the awning comes over, and there's porch furniture, some really nice porch furnitures right in the center of the back porch back there in the backyard. Behind that looked to me like sliders. I thought that was a slider back there. Liz and Maggie have already gone over that before. They proved it. They brought up pictures, close-up pictures. It is, in fact, as they said, it is a window. The sliders that we are seeing are, if you are looking directly at Nancy's front door from the street, you look over to your left side, you will see a little, like what I would call a courtyard. It's got about a 3-foot tall bricked fence around it. It doesn't have a gate to get in and out. To get in and out, you'd have to jump it. It has 2 slider doors there. The side one goes into, thank you so much, Maggie. The side one that is showing you on your right side right here, that goes into her living room. The one that's opened up right here on the left side, that goes into the master bedroom. These are the only 2 sliders on this main house. Now, there are 3 more sliders, or 2 more sliders on the guest house. One is as you pull up to the house via the driveway. You're going up the driveway. The guest house is right in front of you. You will see sliders. That is to the guest, pool house, casita, whatever you want to call it. If you go around into the gate, through the backyard, and go up the side of the guest house, there is another set of sliders there. So in total, thank you, Maggie. In total, there are 4 sliders on the whole property, and those are it. The 3 back doors that they're talking about is obviously the blue one you could see. That is the one that we saw investigators going in and out of constantly. That is a blue, it goes straight into the garage. This door, thank you, Maggie, for throwing this up. This is where they prove to you there's no sliders on the back. The blue door you see in the back is the one that's going into like a family area, if you will. What I thought to be a slider is behind the furniture, that window right there. You could clearly see the brick under the window, so that no longer is a slider. I thought it was. And then if you go to the opposite side of this porch area, we believe there's another blue door that's just not seen where this guy is walking out of. There's a blue door right underneath there. That is what Ashley Banfield and Gray Hughes believes, that there is another door there. And the picture that Gray did show, you could actually see a door there. So I hope that explains all of the doors. So I wouldn't think you would have to prop open the garage door, because I think we've seen them jump in and out of that thing, and it does stay open. But I guess for one or both of the other 2 that are on the back porch, maybe it is one of those that just automatically shuts behind you. All right, hope that clears that up, you guys. Let's keep listening.
Oh, look, we've all asked the question, right? Why did this happen? Who took Mrs. Guthrie and why? Who wanted Nancy Guthrie and why? And many of us have wondered, is it because of her famous daughter, right? And early on, those ransom notes made us feel like this must have been why. You know, you're stealing her, and then you're sending this family ransom notes because maybe you know that Nancy Guthrie had a wealthy, famous daughter in television. And Savannah talks about that, and about how she had a conversation with her brother about that. And she steps into the portion about what we've all wondered, like how much guilt must she have felt? I'm using that word, she's not, but you can see in her pain how she is struggling with this. Take a look.
I mean, my siblings are so amazing. My brother, you know, he spent his career in the military and worked in intelligence, and is a fighter pilot, and is brilliant. And he saw very clearly right away what this was.
Yeah.
And even on the phone, when I called him, he knew.
He knew.
And he said, I think she's been kidnapped for ransom. And I said,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Well, why? What? And then, I mean, it sounds so like, how dumb could I be? But I didn't want to believe. I just said, do you think because of me? And he said, I'm sorry, sweetie, but yeah, maybe. But I knew that.
You did.
I hope not. I mean, we still don't know. Honestly, we don't know anything.
No.
We don't know anything. So I don't know that it's because she's my mom and somebody thought, oh, that girl, that lady has money. We can make a quick buck. I mean, that would make sense, but we don't know. But yeah, that's probably, which is too much to bear. To think that I brought this to her bedside, that it's because of me. And I just say, I'm so sorry, Mommy. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to my sister and my brother and my kids and my nephew and Tommy and my brother-in-law. I'm like, so sorry. I'm so sorry. If it is me, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
There's a million reasons why these mini Miracle Bombs sell out every year, and I'm going to give you a couple. Number one.
One other detail that Savannah released today was in furtherance to what she mentioned in one of her Instagram posts, which was, my mom was taken from her bed in the dark of night. Now she's going further and giving details about what her mom was wearing when she was taken from that home. Take a listen.
How is it possible that we are having to make a video speaking to a kidnapper who took an 84-year-old woman in the dead of night in her pajamas with no shoes, without her medicine? This little person. And to beg for mercy.
That's new. Pajamas and no shoes. That is new information, because I think about Mrs. Guthrie being taken, if she was walking that stone path off of her front entrance, her tiled front entrance outside her front door, that would not be the kind of thing you'd want to walk on with bare feet without shoes. So it's painful to think about, an 84-year-old woman being forced to walk over those stones without her shoes, or God forbid, being carried for whatever reason. But that is a detail we didn't know until now. And Savannah spoke specifically about the whole ransom piece, because we're well into the end of week 8 right now, and many of us have sort of felt as though the ransom piece has fallen away. There hasn't been any mention of it. The alleged ransom seekers never gave proof of life, never gave a second communication to say, okay, well, this deadline is passed now. We'll give you a proof of life or a photo. And that's all that Savannah and her siblings asked for, right? If you're real, you have to tell us that you're real, and you have to give us proof that you have my mother. And so she speaks to the ransom piece, because while we may have all moved on from it, it doesn't feel like Savannah has.
There are a lot of different notes, I think, that came. And I think most of them, it's my understanding, are not real. And I didn't see them. But, a person that would send a fake ransom note really has to look deeply at themselves.
Yeah.
To a family in pain. But I believe The 2 notes that we received, that we responded to, I tend to believe those are real.
Really?
We've talked on this podcast, and many other people's podcasts have spoken about this, is when we got the ring cam video from the FBI showing that masked intruder at the front door. It was absolutely terrifying. I remember the day. I remember someone saying, "My God, it looks like a scene out of the movie Fargo. It's so scary, just this terrifying masked man." And then we went further to imagine, once we learned from Savannah that her mom had been taken from her bed, what must that have been like? The fear that you can't even imagine opening your eyes and seeing that when you're in your safest space, right? Not only in your home, but in your bed. And Savannah addressed that directly.
I mean, it's just absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
It's just totally terrifying. And I can't imagine that is who she saw standing over her bed.
Yeah.
I can't. It's too much.
Yeah.
Savannah made note about what could only be sort of thought of as the upside to at least having that video, right? We've got a suspect, at least some details, right? Some forensic details, something to put out to the public to get tips. That's a huge upside. But there was the other one where she said, early on, I had a source in the police who said that the investigators were focusing on her brother-in-law, right? And they towed her sister's car. They searched her sister's house. They photographed at night. They canvassed her sister's neighbor. And so a lot of the press went over to her sister and her brother-in-law's home. The investigation has to do that. Every investigation has to do that, right? But that was very difficult for Savannah. And she made a mention of how this image at least tamped down a lot of the speculation about her family. Have a listen.
And I'm glad and grateful to the investigators and the technology companies that were able to find that video. To, I hope, at least with people of good heart and compassion, stop the irresponsible and cruel speculation that had started to swirl.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
I'm glad that people saw
Yeah.
what came to our door.
When you talk about the cruel speculation, the whispers, the innuendo that it was somebody in your family, how did you weather that?
It's unbearable.
Yeah.
And it piles pain upon pain. There are no words. There are no words. I don't understand. I'll never understand. And no one took better care of my mom than my sister and brother-in-law. And no one protected my mom more than my brother.
1/8 plus 1/8 equals 1/4. 1/2 is bigger than 1/3, and 1/3 is bigger than 1/4. 1/2 is the same as 2 1/4 or 3 1/6. This is the magnetic.
Obviously, Savannah is a woman of faith, and she has made, many mentions of how her faith has been helping her. She's mentioned it in her Instagram posts. She has asked God for help. She has written a book about how faith has guided her in life. And she also told Hoda that the goodness and kindness of God is remarkable and an equal measure to my sorrow, meaning that balance of how horrible it's been and how wonderful God has been to her in all of this and helping get her through it. And to that end, Savannah also mentioned that God has spoken to her in all of this. And what she said really is profound in how Savannah has been processing this. Take a listen.
As I said to myself, I can handle anything, God. I can handle anything. I just can't handle not knowing. We can't handle not knowing.
Yeah.
I have to know. And I heard a voice. And it said, you do know where she is. She's with me. She's with me. So whether she is on this earth still, or whether she is in heaven, I know where she is. I know who she's with. But we need to know.
Savannah also spoke about the home, the family home. And if you didn't already know this, this was where she and her siblings grew up. She even talked about how when she was 16 years old, she came home and her mom and her sister Annie were on the couch crying because they were about to tell her that her father had just died suddenly. Just an earth-shattering moment in the Guthrie family. Something that she said actually helped her mother prepare Savannah and her two siblings for difficulties in life. Obviously, this one being the most difficult. But here's how she talks about this Tucson home, their family home, and how special it was to her mom.
My mom loved and treasured that house. In good years and lean years, they were able to hold on to that house. That's my mom's safe haven. It's really hard to see that violated, and the terror that she must have felt is unbearable. It's unbearable.
Hoda also asked Savannah about the decision to finally get on a plane and go back home to New York. I mean, imagine yourself for a moment. You've been living this nightmare for weeks and weeks on end in a temporary residence with your siblings with no answers, total confusion and terror, missing your mom, wondering, and your mind would race to the worst things. And eventually you have these children and a life and a family and a job and everything back up in New York that you're going to have to return to. But that decision of when and how hard that decision must have been. But here's how that part of the conversation went.
I looked out the window of the airplane and just thought, where are you?
Yeah.
That desert, that beautiful desert that she loves. Where are you? How could I leave you?
One of the difficult things Savannah mentioned was that she moved houses many times. We hadn't known that either. We knew that originally she'd been staying at her sister's home and then moved to a very private and secluded place, but we didn't know that she had moved many times. And then Hoda asked her a very specific question about how she thinks the investigation is going, because I read a comment earlier underneath in the podcast, one of the podcasts I'd released, and someone said, have you noticed that there's been no mention about the sheriff and the work that the sheriff's doing? And I started to wonder, I wonder how Savannah feels about that. And Hoda asked her directly.
Well, it's still going.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
people have worked tirelessly.
Take your bra off and switch to this one now. This bra lifts your bust like no other. From this to this in 1 second. Low lift, mid, high, you control it, not gravity. Just hook it to your ideal.
Tirelessly. And we see that. But we need answers. We cannot be at peace without knowing. And someone can do the right thing.
She definitely needs answers. More than any of us, Savannah and her family need these answers. But are they going to get them? And when? How long? And so this is the key, right? As we move forward and we watch what's happening with the Pima County Sheriff's Department and the FBI and the task force that they've assembled, which is small, hell of a lot smaller than the 400 investigators several weeks ago. Now we're down to maybe a dozen or so, maybe 5 or 6 from the Pima County Sheriff's Department who now work in the Tucson field office of the FBI with, I don't know, a handful. They haven't given us the numbers, but it's the Tucson field office. It's not the Phoenix one. Many of the agents returned back to the field office in Phoenix. So the atrophying of a case is real. It's a thing. It is the natural order of things in an investigation because crimes continue and other crimes need investigating. And to that end, a source in the investigation has said, and this is a direct quote when asked, where does the investigation stand? The direct quote is, "We ain't got shit." That's one of the investigators in the investigation. We ain't got shit. And it is hard to hear that because all the while I have imagined that they've got really strong leads that they are pursuing, that they're close to getting, right? Like Koberger. We did not know they were following him across the country, that they pulled his father's garbage and that they were parked outside his door and that they were grabbing him until they grabbed him. Like, we didn't know all that was happening under the surface of the water where the ducks paddle under the water feverishly, but it's calm up above and you don't know. We did not know that. And I assumed that was happening in this case. I assumed that there's something happening with this task force, that they're getting closer. But then to hear that, we ain't got shit, that dashed a lot of my optimism for now, because I know there are ebbs and flows. There are ebbs and flows, and I know that because I talk to people like Paul Holes. Paul is a former cold case investigator for the Contra Costa County Sheriff's Office, and he is well known across this country, around the world, for his work solving the Golden State Killer case. Took upwards of 3 to 4 decades to catch that killer, but they did it, right? That trail went cold for weeks, then months, then years, then decades. And he's the guy who was instrumental in helping to bring that case to an end and finding that person and putting him away, despite the fact he was in his 70s. So I called him about the "we ain't got shit" comment, right? Should I be optimistic? Should I be dashed about this investigation at week 8? And he's got some really interesting things to say about that. So you're going to hear his perspective on A, what it means, B, where it's going, C, how things draw down in the natural order of investigations as life continues and other crimes continue and the taxpayers need resources elsewhere, how things shrink when they expand, how they shrink again. So he's going to tell you about that in reference to the Guthrie investigation. But also, I asked him a few other things about my source and the information I learned earlier this week, which was that the blood pattern outside the front door, which is on the entranceway of her home, outside her front door, the blood spatter pattern that goes down the front walkway, how my source said it is replicated inside the home, right over the threshold and into the front entrance, hallway, foyer, however you describe the front entrance of someone's home as you get inside, that those blood droplet patterns are identical right there. I've learned where in the house that blood was, and it's right inside the front entrance of the home, the foyer, the hallway, whatever it is, but nowhere else. It starts there at that front entrance inside. It goes over the threshold and outside onto the outdoor patio tiles and then down the walkway. So I asked Paul about that because it turns out Paul is also a blood spatter expert. So he's going to weigh in on that. Then I also asked Paul before Savannah spoke about Savannah's words were, the back doors were propped open. She said it twice. Was she being colloquial with propped? Because 3 different law enforcement investigators and sources of mine have said back door wide open. There are 3. I know I said 2 in another podcast. We have since discovered a door you can't see in any of the pictures or video, but it's a door that goes into the kitchen sideways to the house. If you're looking from the backyard at the back of the house, it's a perpendicular door, so you cannot see it unless you were to look over at it, but it enters into the back patio where the patio furniture is in the backyard. And there are 3 doors. And she said back doors propped open. Did she mean left open or propped with something? And plural. She said it twice and said the plural doors twice. It was very interesting. I asked Paul Holes about this news that I had broken earlier this week, that the back doors had regularly been left unlocked by Mrs. Guthrie. This was just sort of a habit. She didn't always lock those back doors, plural. And I asked Paul to weigh in on that as well in terms of a victimology and, suspectology, if there was such a thing, how they factor that information into the investigation. So with all that, here's my conversation with Paul Holes. Hey, quick note from my sponsor. Want you to do an experiment. The next time you're in your kitchen, do me a favor, go grab a box of your favorite cereal and then sourcing one of the.
So people keep asking us, where do you film your podcast? We shoot everything inside Riverside. I record our show in 4K.
The investigators is heard saying, quote, "We ain't got shit."
It's having worked many different types of cases. And right now with the Nancy Guthrie case, I would put this in this whodunit category. And these cases sometimes can resolve quickly, sometimes can take weeks, sometimes can take years. So just because you have an inside source saying we ain't got shit right now after 7 weeks?
We're into 8. Yeah.
8 weeks. This is not atypical for this type of case for a variety of reasons, because, sometimes comprehensive forensic testing can take months. You may be following various investigative leads that dead end, and then you have to back up and then go down different paths. Sometimes it's a matter of the right tip hasn't come in. So right now, even though we have this situation, Nancy Guthrie, there's an exigency because the hope is she's still alive. And you want to get that information, those investigative leads that will get her home safe. But the reality is that in these whodunit cases, it can take a long time if the offender is actually doing things to try to prevent himself from being caught. And I believe that's what's happening in this case.
It just makes me think, have you ever heard of a case, seen a case, read about a case where an offender steals an old woman to keep the old woman for weeks or months? Have you ever seen it happen for any reason and never asked for anything back, like never asked for money or some kind of connection with the family? Just I had no ulterior motive.
No, we've talked before about this case. The offender, he communicated with the media that he abducted Nancy for ransom. This was his communication. He is controlling the narrative. I want money. However, when I take a look at the circumstances, and I still stand by this opinion, when I see him in that costume, on the front porch, I'm looking at that going, that does not look right at all. He wants to be seen. He's misdirecting. So, he is trying to lead the investigation down a certain path. And then I'm looking at it going, you know what? Don't look at this as an abduction ransom case. I think he possibly had some personal connection to Nancy, and he went to the house to harm her. And so when I hear, an inside source that you've developed that we don't have anything on this case, so it's like, okay, so what was the assumption? Let's back up. You guys may have followed a certain investigative path, a certain forensic path, and it hasn't panned out after almost 8 weeks. Let's, resettle. Let's reevaluate and start looking at other possibilities where this offender actually has some level of connection to the family, to Nancy. I can't tell you where that would be, but he has targeted Nancy for a reason.
But it sounds to me like you're talking about him being a mastermind. Like, I'm going to cosplay and misdirect and then take her and then send fake ransom notes to TMZ and the local media. Like, that's not a real ransom, seeker. They don't go to the media. They say, don't go to the media. Don't go to the police. So aren't you ascribing a lot more to this guy than maybe what he might be capable of?
Well, but that's also part of what I'm evaluating is, okay, he's going to the media with the ransom. Why is he doing that? Because that complicates his life. That just makes it harder for him to get what he is saying his goal is, which is the financial, assets. All this media attention is not making his life any easier. Him posing in front of the front porch camera is not making his life any issue. He's doing this on purpose. So that's where I'm thinking you have to take a look at the possibility that his primary goal was to cause harm to Nancy. And why is he doing that? And I think there's, two paths that I would look at. You have the celebrity status of Savannah Guthrie. Then you have maybe a personal interaction that he's had with Nancy. And then he's recognizing, there might be some financial resources that I can potentially exploit in order to misdirect law enforcement. So this is where I think instead of looking at this as an abduction ransom case, I mean, my personal opinion is that this is very possibly a straight up homicide case. And now he's staging it, making it look like utilizing the media. And when you say, well, is he some sort of criminal mastermind? It's not necessarily being a criminal mastermind. You are now dealing with what I would say is a sophisticated and intelligent offender that is trying to commit a crime that he wants to commit, but also have self-preservation. He doesn't want to be caught. So he's, I would say, a more intelligent offender. And we run across these guys consistently. We have dumb offenders. They don't do this level of thing. He at least has a level of intelligence to think things through. Now, criminal mastermind, the posing in front of the front porch camera in that costume, I'd go, oh no, he's not a criminal mastermind, but he at least has a level of sophistication to know how to manipulate the investigation and how to manipulate the media.
Here's how I'm doing laundry in 2026. And yeah, it's 2026. We're not using this stuff anymore. And make sure you don't breathe it in. Your lungs don't need this mess. Definitely not using this anymore. This is filled with.
Well, who knows what the investigators are doing in the background? All we can say is that at one point within the last 7.5 weeks, they had 400 people working this case. And now, as we go into month 2, we know there's a task force. It has a half dozen or less homicide members from Pima County, and then an unknown number from the FBI, all of them in the Tucson field office. The rest of the FBI have pulled back to the Phoenix FBI field office. And so that tells me that it ain't 400, right?
Right.
But now what happens? Like, when you hear we ain't got shit, when does the investigation atrophy further? How does it atrophy further? When does it go down to we have one guy who watches it every other day, or when a lead comes in?
That's actually very hard to predict, especially with such a high profile case. The Pima County Sheriff's Office is going to have limited resources. I don't know exactly what size that sheriff's office is, but they can only do so much. And they're going to have other active cases coming in which these investigators are going to have to be pulled off the Guthrie case in order to handle, because they're going to have active public safety things that they need to be dealing with. you know, the FBI has amazing manpower, amazing resources. However, the FBI, they don't investigate homicide cases on a routine basis. That's why it's always best to
But we
have
don't know. We don't know if it's homicide.
True. And I'm not saying it's a homicide, but I would be treating this on a resource level as a homicide.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. At this point, 84-year-old victim who's been gone for 8 weeks, he's no longer asking for anything. Is he taking the time to keep her alive?
If honestly, I have to just jump in because I keep saying this over and over. If he was ever asking for anything in the beginning, because in my opinion, that ransom was just a bad actor from overseas trying to scam a victimized family. I never believed that the ransom, all the different iterations of ransom seeking, had anything to do with the actual crime other than someone trying to profit off it.
Yeah, and I think I completely agree with you with what I know about the case is that, you know, I don't think this is an abduction ransom case, unfortunately. You know, so this is where.
What would be the purpose of a homicide, though? An 84-year-old woman with no demands, with nothing. I mean, no sort of, I don't know, no letter to say, "Ha, I gotcha." It just doesn't seem to be any reason. What would you see as a purpose for a homicide if it's a homicide?
All right, I'm going to stop it right there just a second because first I want to welcome everybody in chat. Thank you so much for being here. We hit the like for us. Second of all, it's hard to figure out where do we stop this and where do we discuss what I want to say about it. I want to remind you guys of something. I was very interested when he was talking about what reasoning with the ransom notes and what kind of guy this was that do it. And is he sloppy because he was sending a ransom letter to the news, and how Paul Holes talks about this guy just wants, he wants people to see him. Even though he knows it makes it more dangerous for him, he still wants that notoriety, right? I want to remind you guys of something and give you something to think about. The most prominent serial killers known for writing letters to the police and news media to taunt authority and gain public attention are Dennis Rader, who was the BTK killer, and the Zodiac killer. Dennis Rader, BTK stands for Bind, Torture, Kill. Y'all, he was active between 1974 to 1991 in Wichita, Kansas. Rader sent letters, poems, and packages to the media and to the police outlets describing his murders in detail and giving himself the name BTK. After going quiet for years, he resumed sending letters in 2004, which led to his arrest in 2005 after a floppy disk he sent was traced to his church computer. And there's many other, you guys. Let me just read the Zodiac killer because that's another one that was mentioned, but research this. The Zodiac killer, active in Northern California in the late 1960s to early 1970s, this unidentified killer sent more than 20 letters and cryptograms, which are coded messages, to newspapers and police. He often taunted authorities for failing to catch him and demanding his letters be published on the front page. Now, I brought all that up just to say this, you guys. I kind of like what Paul said. And the reason being is because I didn't think about that. If this is, in fact, true of this guy or guys. And we've been saying all along, you don't freaking send ransom letters to TMZ. So I, too, have been saying that all of it is bullshit. It had absolutely nothing to do with a ransom. This was a hit. Is this guy so pompous, so sure of himself, so egotistical that he thinks like a serial killer, in which he may be? We don't know yet. That he is copycatting, which we know that happens all the time. Copycat murders happens all the time. That he is copycatting someone like BTK and the Zodiac killer, taunting the police, the public, the news, even though they have no intentions of getting caught. We've seen just in the past couple of years these copycat killers. And I'm not going to bring them up because it's going to get everybody off onto a different direction than this case and maybe cause some fighting in chat. And I'm not willing to do it, but look it up. Just in the past year, there's been several copycat killings done that from someone who has done some kind of murder or high crime, and they're in custody right now. So for me, that was just another way of thinking. Does this perpetrator right here, is he already a serial killer? Does he already have, is his hero one of these serial killers that taunted the police and the news? Has he done this before, back 10 years ago, and now he's starting up again, just like BTK did? Is this his first of many that he plans to do, and yet he's going to try to stay notorious through these types of events with the police and the media? It's just something else to think about. Just something else to think about. Let's keep going.
There's so many motives, fundamentally when you take a look at it, and as far as I know, there isn't any indication that he stole anything out of the house. So, so this isn't like a burglary for property theft that went sideways. So now I think it's more a personal interaction. He had a vendetta against Nancy, or there, and I don't want to put too much weight on this, but you also have to consider, and I've worked these types of cases, we do have women this age that are sexually assaulted and killed. So, there's that possibility. However, the offender potentially, by removing her out of the house, that elevates his risk because now he has a victim inside his vehicle. So why is he doing that? You always have to consider, why is the offender doing an action or a behavior that causes his risk to be elevated?
Well, if it is that, and I am with you, we have talked about geriatric rape on this program. It's a thing, and it's hard to believe. People need to understand it is real. It does happen. And I've said it before, the statistic that was given to me by a prominent homicide prosecutor in California said that the percentage of perpetrators of geriatric rape in their 20s, it's 92%. 92% of the geriatric rapists are in their 20s. So it is a thing. But I think when you said he elevates his risk by taking her out of the house, I think he mitigates his risk because, rape is a very, very hard thing to keep your DNA from showing up.
Well, and maybe he recognized that after he committed the crime,
or knew it in advance.
Yeah. So it all depends on the dynamics of the violence that occurred, so if he recognized that, oh, I've left my DNA behind, I need to remove the source of the DNA, and that's removing Nancy's body out of the house, then yes, he is taking a step to, in his mind, lower the risk. But now he has a victim in his vehicle, which...
Mini miracle bombs. I'm back. If you haven't heard about miracle bombs, let me tell you, honestly, the secret,
he could absolutely be pulled over in the middle of the night, right? There's aspects that where I'm looking at it going, okay, there's a possibility that you now are trying to do something that you think is self-preservation. However, you are elevating your risk. And that's where I just get back to that question of, why is he doing that? And it may go back to your question, is he's now recognizing he's left objective identifying DNA evidence on or in Nancy's body, and now he has to take her with him. Absolutely. I completely agree with that. But
You know, one thing I didn't think of, and I don't know why I didn't think of it now, because so often the conversations we've had, it's elevating your risk if you pick a victim and put that victim in your car. Now your car is going to be invested. What if it was a stolen car overnight? You know, what if he stole a car overnight, did this dastardly thing, and eventually got rid of Nancy's body and then put that car back that next morning or in a day? And no one knows, you know, no one's the wiser.
it's possible. You know, I've got cases in which offenders have stolen vehicles. They switch license plates. You know, they did their crime, then they switch license plates back, and then they dump the car. You know, and sometimes these cars are set on fire. Sometimes I had one car end up in Tijuana. You know, it's so, you know, that is a possibility, but that also is informative about the criminal history of the offender. Typically, you know, this isn't your novice criminal offender. If he's doing that, he understands the system and then knows how to get rid of something like a stolen vehicle.
Let me tell you, my street was burglarized. All the cars on my street burglarized. And it turns out the vehicle with the kids in it was stolen. So the dumb kids even knew enough to steal a car to commit their crimes. And it makes me think, if anyone's watching right now, if you happen to be in the Tucson area, if you remember something weird about your vehicle, I mean, it was parked in a different place the next morning on February 1st, or, you know, something was odd. There was dirt on it you didn't recognize, and you can't get past what the heck happened. And you think your friend took it and you can't get over that your friend won't admit it. It might be worth calling the police. It might be worth calling 1-800-FBI, because, you know, it's entirely possible this guy stole a car, did his crimes, put that car back, and he's walking free.
No, absolutely. And I would say if you have something like that you remember, open up the trunk of your car or the back seat and shine a flashlight and see if you can see some dark stains, because Nancy's bleeding, and it's possible she bled in this vehicle she was transported in. And if the vehicle has darker fabric, that blood is not going to be very readily visible. I've experienced that myself. So you have to really look.
So as an investigator, if there's somebody watching right now who thinks, geez, you know what? I couldn't figure out what the hell went on February 1st. I had that weird thing happen. My vehicle was parked different. And I assumed my wife did it, but then she said she didn't. And I figured she was playing a prank, whatever it is. What exposure does somebody have if they call the Pima County Sheriff's Department or 1-800-FBI? That's the one I recommend. Now, do they need a lawyer? Because if their car is processed and Nancy's blood is in it, and they're the ones that came forward, what exposure do they have? What kind of protection do they need?
You know, it usually becomes very obvious very early on. You think about this. What offender in this case is going to call up law enforcement and say, hey,
it's a nice cover. It's a nice cover.
But you know what? It's not a difficult thing to resolve typically with innocent people. You know, you are doing the right thing by coming forward and saying, hey, I recognize this. I heard details, you know, on Ashley Banfield show. And I thought, hey, you know what? I think, you know, maybe there's something going on here. And you will be interviewed for sure. And law enforcement is going to kind of take a look at your background and where you were at and everything else and stuff. But, you know, if you're truly innocent, that's not going to be a factor at all. I mean, you'll be very easily cleared.
You hope. Yeah. I mean, we've certainly had innocent people put away, but you're right. Sure. What kind of a guilty person's going to call up and say, oh, hey, but it is a cover.
Well, and not this guy. I mean, look at what he's doing now. I mean, he, you know, put out there, maybe he's the one that communicated. Maybe it's like what you said. Somebody else online took advantage of the situation. This guy doesn't want to get caught. He doesn't want to get, you know, any law enforcement attention. And if he were to call law enforcement under some sort of ruse as being an innocent person, it's going to be pretty easy to sort him out.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many electronic alibis now as well. Not just if you live alone and you were sleeping that night, your watch will tell everybody whether you were sleeping. Your phone, your front door, did it open, did it close? I mean, there's all sorts of things that can, and the video in your street that can see so much. Let me ask you, I mean, I feel like I've almost exhausted the question that I can't get out of my mind, and that is this investigator saying we ain't got shit. I was so sad when I heard that, because I'm not kidding, Paul. I really did believe that there's, I keep calling it the duck theory. There's this calm little duck floating on the surface of the water and nothing's happening. And then down below, their little paddles are going like mad and we can't see it. I assumed that was this investigation. And actually, I asked my husband about it over dinner, and he said, wait, there aren't 400 officers or 400 people working on that case anymore? I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize it's atrophied down to a small task force. And it will get smaller. It's just how and when do they make those decisions? What makes those decisions for them?
Well, there's a lot of factors. Of course, primarily it comes down to each agency, what their level of resources are, how many cases they're having to handle. If you're talking about a sheriff's office, the sheriff has, public safety needs that he needs to meet, and at a certain point, if the case is kind of dwindling, then he's going to have to reallocate those resources to handle, other cases that are coming up, and then the feds have the same issue, just in a different capacity, but what I will say is that, this case is going to have legs for sure. And there will be resources dedicated to it.
But what kind? Like how many, what sort? And for how long?
Well, in terms of how long, I can't speak to that, because it depends on what happens. Let's say we have, a major, terrorist action because the Iran war is going on. The FBI is going to be pulled off of this case in order to address that. Yeah. So at this point, I would say
natural order of law enforcement is what you're saying, is that, there are other things happening that need our attention and our tax dollars as well.
Well, and that's where, I spent so much time working cold cases, and, many of these cases went cold is because law enforcement resources got directed to current cases. That's just it. There's always more cases that are coming in. And then after a case goes so long, and like with this particular case, there's going to be an assessment. Okay, what's the public safety threat? Do we have a serial rapist? Do we have a serial killer? Do we have a bank robber that's going in and killing people on a weekly?
Hey, you guys, I've got a situation. I have got to go. We are under a tornado warning right now. I've got to call, check on my kids. Everybody's in different areas right now. And we've got some really bad weather coming in. And it's supposed to hit here in approximately 10 minutes. So I need to go. Thank you guys so much. I wish I could have finished this up, but I really need to take care of this. You guys, wherever you're at, if you're underneath these watches, be safe, be careful. I'll let you guys know. I'm sure we're okay. But I hate to close it like this. I'm not even doing an outro. Maggie, Lizzo, thank you so much.
Okay, praying for you.
I can just leave if Maggie and Lizzo want to stay. But
Weenie, you just go. I'll close it down now. I've just messaged you to say I've got to go. I've got to be up early. So go on, you go, and I'll close it down.
All right, thanks, guys. Love you.
All right, praying.
Turn that off, Lee. Okay. Ciao, love. Oh my God. Do you know what? Isn't it so scary? I just messaged you to say I was going to bed. Didn't I? I messaged you, Liz. And then I just heard her then saying about that. Oh no, it's worrying, isn't it? You have to get, in touch with everyone to make sure they're all right. Well, listen, if you live the same place, I hope you're all going to be safe and sound.
Yeah.
And speak to you all soon. And thanks for being here. Sorry it's ended so abruptly, but I'm sure you'll understand given the circumstances. See you all soon.
Yeah, everybody stay safe.
Very much. Yeah, you say you to ours, girl, too.
All right, bye everybody. Love y'all.
Oh, Good night, girl. Love
Bye.
you. See you soon. Ciao, love.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, it's so scary. I've never seen a tornado. Don't have anything like that here, thank God. I'd be terrified. But thanks for all. It's some brilliant theories. And I've been thinking, it's got me mind thinking again now. And I'm like, oh my God. So guaranteed I'm going to be lying in bed thinking of all these things now tonight. Oh God. Do you know what? Let's hope they find her. Either way, so the family can have closure. But it's sad. Anyway, so thanks again for being here. Speak to you all soon. Take care and have a good night or a good day wherever you are.
Life is hard and life is wild. It can be sad or full of smiles. And every once in a while, you need a break from the mundane. So come back to see your friend, or she'll wonder where you've been. According to Leanie, she appreciates you and all that you do. You need her, but she needs you, and that's the beauty of according to Leanie. So thank you for your time. You are a friend of mine. I'll be happy to see you again on the next According to Leanie. Be good or be good at it. Until next time, love Leanie, love Leanie, love Leanie. Next time, love Leanie, love Leanie. Life is hard and life is wild. It can be sad or full of smiles. And every once in a while, you need a break from the mundane. So come back to see your friend, or she'll wonder where you've been. According to Leanie, she appreciates you and all that you do. You need her, she needs you, and that's the beauty of According to Leanie. Be good or be good at it. Until next time, love Leanie.